At the critical moment of college application submission, Lin Xiaoxiao, the impoverished student my father sponsors, accidentally tore my application form in half right in front of him. That form held the key to my admission into the nation's top aviation academy, my one and only dream, now reduced to worthless scraps. There was no chance to redo it before the admissions officers. With a dramatic thud, she dropped to her knees before my father, sobbing, "Sis, I just wanted to check for mistakes. The paper back home isn't this flimsy. I didn't mean to, I swear." My father slapped me across the face in rage. "She's already on her knees begging you. What more do you want? It's just a school. How can you be so heartless?" Later, I failed the exams and died from stress-induced cardiac arrest while studying at my desk during retake year. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxiao used my father's money to study abroad, becoming the more accomplished than their own daughter role model praised by relatives. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the moment her hand was reaching toward my college preference form. "Sis, let me check if you made any mistakes on the form." "Okay." A hand reached over, tentative and ingratiating. My eyes flew open, heart hammering, the cold sweat on my back instantly soaking through my school uniform. Before me lay the familiar provincial admissions office, its air thick with the musty scent of old paper and stale sweat. Mr. Wang from the admissions office was bent over paperwork, the sunlight glaring off his thinning hair. Before me lay the application card that would determine my future glory or disgrace. That line 4, Beihua Aviation Flight Academy, the nation's top institution, represented 3 years of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights chasing my dream. The hand reaching out belonged to Lin Xiaoxiao, the impoverished student my father Su Jiangwo had sponsored. 1. She gazed at me timidly with eyes as clear as spring water, yet I knew beneath that purity lurked the filthiest mire capable of swallowing everything whole. In my past life, this very hand had accidentally torn my college application form in half, right at the moment I was joyfully preparing to submit it. Worthless scraps, my dreams, my future, reduced instantly to worthless scraps of paper. I completely lost it and lunged forward to grab her, but with a loud thud, she dropped straight to her knees in front of my father. "Uncle, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Paper back in the countryside isn't this fragile. I didn't know city paper tears so easily. I just wanted to help check it for my sister." She wept with pearly tears streaming down her face, a sight that would melt any heart. My father, Su Jiangwo, my biological father, was trembling with rage. He stormed over and, instead of confronting Lin Xiaoxiao kneeling on the ground, put all his strength into a vicious slap across my face. The sharp crack of that blow still echoes in my ears to this day. "She's literally on her knees begging you. What more do you want? It's just a school. Would it kill you to try again next year? How can you be so heartless? You can't even tolerate your own sister who cares about you." Later, I failed the entrance exam. Endless arguments and mounting pressure drove me to repeat my senior year. But my spirit had already shattered after that slap across the face. During my 4th senior year, I collapsed dead at my study desk late at night, still clutching the pen that couldn't write the answers. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxiao used my father's money to study abroad in style, returning with gilded credentials to become the golden child all relatives praised as more accomplished than Sun Yan, his actual daughter. At my own funeral, my father even had the audacity to put his arm around Lin Xiaoxiao's shoulders and declare in front of everyone, "From now on, Xiaoxiao will be my real daughter." How utterly cruel. Before the endless hatred and chilling sense of death could fade, I opened my eyes once more. I'd returned to the very beginning of this tragedy. Lin Xiaoxiao's hand hovered barely 5 centimeters away from my college preference form. Her fingertips were already slightly curled, poised to strike. I looked at her and smiled. Just before her fingers could touch the form, I flicked my wrist. The pen in my hand accidentally slipped and flew out. Plop! A glaring blob of blue-black ink exploded into an ugly splotch beside the name field on my application form. I let out a startled yelp, as if genuinely frightened. Lin Xiaoxiao's hand froze mid-air, her expression shifting from rehearsed alarm to genuine bewilderment. The plan had gone awry. I quickly snatched back the application form, looking up at her with a shaken, tear-choked voice. "Xiaoxiao, why'd you suddenly reach out like that? You made me drop my pen." My sudden outburst successfully drew everyone's attention in the office. Mr. Wang, who had been working with his head down, looked up with a frown. The other waiting parents and students all turned to stare at us in unison. Slap! Lin Xiaoxiao's face instantly went pale. Her specialty was playing the innocent, victimized damsel in front of crowds, but this time, I stole the roll right from under her nose. I didn't, she stammered, her eyes welling up with those practice tears. Sis, I just wanted to help you check. What are you looking at? Teacher Wang is right here. If there's any mistake in my form, she'll point it out. Since when did I need your help checking? I cut her off, my voice laced with just the right mix of wounded pride and lingering fear. My hands trembled as I clutched the ink-stained application card. Holding it like some priceless artifact, this is the most important thing in my life. What if you'd touched it just now and torn it by accident? 3 years of grinding for the provincial top score, my pilot's dream, I was this close, just this close. As I spoke, tears began streaming down my face. This time, it was both an act and the truth. These were genuine tears for my past self who died so tragically. The office atmosphere grew subtly tense. The crowd's gaze toward Lin Xiaoxiao began carrying traces of scrutiny and suspicion, a plainly dressed girl daring to tamper with the top scorer's college application. Now that's a story waiting to be told. Lin Xiaoxiao clearly sensed those piercing stares. Her body trembled slightly, lips quivering without uttering a word. Just then, the office door burst open with a crash. Nian Nian, what's taking you so long? Have you finished filling it out or not? My father, Su Jiangwo, stormed into the room with impatient strides. His eyes immediately landed on the ink-stained college preference form in my hand, and on Lin Xiaoxiao beside me, her eyes red-rimmed and swaying unsteadily. His expression darkened instantly. Sun Yan, you're bullying Xiaoxiao again. He didn't even ask what happened before convicting me outright. Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to find her pillar of support, immediately scurrying to my father's side while clutching his sleeve. Tears streaming down like broken strings of pearls. Uncle, it's not sister's fault. I shouldn't have reached out. The way she put that, it was truly a work of art. She pretended to take the blame, but every word actually solidified my guilt. My dad's anger was completely ignited. He pointed at my nose, and in front of the entire office, he yelled, Sun Yan, how have I taught you? Xiaoxiao is your younger sister. You should be considerate of her. She was trying to help you. What kind of attitude is this? Look what you've done to her. See how heartbroken she is. I stared coldly at him. This man I'd called father for 18 years. My heart had died in my past life. In this one, not even a ripple of emotion remained. Holding up my application form, I calmly said to Teacher Wang, I apologize. The form got stained, though the key information is intact. For safety's sake, may I request a backup form to resubmit? Mr. Wang adjusted his glasses and nodded, all right. Those are the rules, but hurry up, the deadline's almost here. As he spoke, he pulled out a brand new application form from the drawer. My father froze. He probably never expected me to stay calm instead of throwing our usual screaming match. When Lin Xiaoxiao saw the new volunteer card, a flicker of barely perceptible panic and resentment flashed in her eyes. The situation she had worked so hard to create was easily diffused by me. No, how can it be considered diffused? The real show has just begun. Ah, what do you mean, fill it out again? Su Jiangwo snatched the new preference form Teacher Wang handed me and slammed it onto the desk. Sun Yan, you will apologize to Xiaoxiao today. That's final. His booming voice made the entire office vibrate. Teacher Wang's frown deepened, his face clearly displeased. Please remain quiet, parent. Don't disrupt the other students. She's my daughter. How I raise her is none of your business. Su Jiangwo snapped back unreasonably. He turned his head, glaring at me like an enraged bull. Apologize, now, immediately. I looked at him and suddenly found it ridiculous. In my past life, this was how he kept forcing me to bow down to that scheming woman, time and time again. Every single time, I'd plead and argue with him through tears. All it earned me was harsher beatings and deeper disappointment. He would always, without fail, believe Lin Xiaoxiao's crocodile tears. I took a deep breath and met his fury with steady eyes. Dad, I did nothing wrong. Why should I apologize? You, Su Jiangwo's fingers trembled with rage. Seeing this, Lin Xiaoxiao immediately launched into her performance again. She gently tugged at Su Jiangwo's sleeve and said in a tearful, mosquito-like whisper, Uncle, let it go. It's all my fault, not sister's. Let's just fill out the applications. We shouldn't hold sister back from her future. She's dreamed of being a pilot for so many years. She shouldn't have brought that up. At the mention of this, Su Jiangwo's temper flared up instantly. A pilot? What kind of career is that for a girl? You've got no sense of propriety. It was as if he'd finally found an outlet, directing all his resentment straight at me. I told you ages ago to study education and become a teacher, settle down and marry well, but you just wouldn't listen, still making a fuss over such trivial matters and bullying Xiao Xiao. You're clearly spoiled rotten by me, absolutely lawless. I listened in silence without uttering a word. I've heard these same lectures since forever, my ears are practically calloused from them. He'll always believe his plans are perfect, while my dreams mean nothing in his eyes. To him, my silence spoke volumes of defiance. He was utterly enraged. Before everyone's eyes, he raised his hand. I instinctively shut my eyes. The familiar slap finally came, crisp and sharp. It felt even heavier than in my past life. My cheek burned with pain as a ringing filled my ears. The entire office instantly fell into dead silence. Everyone was stunned by the scene. Teacher Wang shot to his feet, pointing at Su Jiangwo, too furious to speak. How could you hit a child? But Su Jiangwo seemed to be seeing red, completely ignoring him. He pointed at my nose, enunciating each word clearly. Sun Yan, I'm telling you this right now. If you still consider me your father, then you'll apologize honestly and change that college application. If you dare talk back to me again, don't expect another penny from me. I slowly opened my eyes, tasting blood in my mouth. I didn't cry or make a scene. I just turned my head slowly to look at Lin Xiaoxiao, who was hiding behind my father with a smug smile curling at her lips. She thought she had won, just like in our past life. She believed she'd crushed me once again. Meeting her gaze, I smiled back, then, before everyone's eyes, I picked up the fresh backup application form and that pen from the table. I didn't even glance at Beihua Aviation Flight Academy again. Instead, I carefully and deliberately wrote 5 characters in the first-choice school field. Jiangqing Vocational Technical College, the worst third-rate vocational school in the city, with absolutely no future prospects. After finishing writing, I set down the pen, looked up, and met Su Jiangwo's gaze. Dad, is this what you wanted? My voice was soft, calm, completely devoid of emotion. Su Jiangwo froze. Lin Xiaoxiao froze in shock. Even the furious teacher Wang standing nearby was stunned. They probably expected me to make a scene or put up a desperate fight. Nobody anticipated I'd be this decisive. So decisive it felt like wielding a blade to sever one's own future with bare hands. A flicker of triumph crossed Su Jiangwo's face. But what dominated was the smug certainty of, I knew you'd yield, TCH. Should have done this sooner, he sneered, finally satisfied. As for Lin Xiaoxiao, the gloating in her eyes became unmistakable. Spilling over like an overfilled cup, she leaned close to Su Jiangwo's ear and whispered, Uncle, sister is so obedient. Jiangqing Vocational School is actually quite good. It's close to home, so we can keep her company every day from now on. My father beamed with delight at her words and gave her an approving pat on the shoulder. Our Xiao Xiao is always the thoughtful one. Watching their sickening display of father-daughter affection made my stomach churn. I picked up that college preference form that had ruined 2 lifetimes for me, and calmly handed it to Mr. Wang. Teacher, I appreciate your help. Mr. Wang looked at me, his eyes filled with complicated emotions and pity. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but it all dissolved into a sigh. He took the application form and stamped it with the official seal of approval, and just like that, everything was settled. Stepping out of the admissions office, the glaring sunlight made my eyes water. Su Jiangwo was in such high spirits that he unexpectedly said, Come on, kids, let's go celebrate with a fancy dinner now that you've submitted your college applications. Lin Xiaoxiao chirped cheerfully, Thank you, uncle. Then she turned and came to my side, whispering in a voice meant only for us, Sis, don't be sad. Even if your dream is gone, I'll fly higher and farther for you from now on. Just stay in this small town and watch me closely. Her voice was sweet yet venomous, like a hissing serpent. Gazing at her flawless face, I suddenly reached out to smooth her wind-tousled bangs. My touch was feather-light. I beamed at her with radiant joy. Well then, best of luck to you, dear sister. Lin Xiaoxiao was taken aback by my reaction. She probably never expected I'd still be smiling. Why shouldn't I laugh? Destroying my own application form with my own hands really stings, but compared to having it torn apart by others in my past life, at least this time it was my choice, trading one application form to make both of them lower their guard completely, trading a shattered flying dream for a chance to ruin them completely. That's a deal worth making. I returned home to an empty, chilling silence. My mother Li Hui sat on the couch, cradling a glass of water with distant eyes. She started like a startled bird when she saw us return, hastily rising to her feet. Nian Nian, have you filled out your college preferences? Her voice was barely above a whisper, laced with cautious hesitation. Before I could respond, Su Jiangwo cut in with smug satisfaction. It's done. I made her apply to Jiangqing Vocational School, right here in town. She'll settle down properly instead of chasing pipe dreams. My mother's face turned deathly pale in an instant. What? Vocational school? Jiangwo, how could you? Why shouldn't I? I'm her father. Su Jiangwo threw his jacket onto the couch, cutting her off with self-righteous indignation. Did you see how she acted at the admissions office today? She's completely out of control. If I don't discipline her now, who knows what she'll do next? Lin Xiaoxiao immediately stepped forward with understanding, gently supporting my mother's arm. Auntie, please don't be angry. My sister was just trying to help me. It's all my fault. She hung her head low, shoulders trembling slightly, looking on the verge of tears. My mother looked at her, then at me. Her lips quivered, but in the end she said nothing. Only the light in her eyes completely faded away. In my past life, I always thought my mother was weak. Faced with my father's dominance, she would always retreat, never able to protect me. It wasn't until later that I understood there was more to her weakness than met the eye. Su Jiangwo clearly relished my mother's submission. Clearing his throat, he announced his second decision of the day. One more thing. Xiao Xiao has been living alone in a rented place. It's both tough and unsafe. Starting today, she'll be moving in with us. Perfect timing. She can keep Nian Nian company. And maybe Nian Nian could learn a thing or two from Xiao Xiao about responsibility and gratitude. This decision didn't come as a surprise to me, just like in my previous life. That's how Lin Xiaoxiao gradually invaded my home and took over my life. My mother turned even paler, pleading with Su Jiangwo. But, we don't have any spare rooms left. Nonsense. Su Jiangwo waved his hand dismissively toward my bedroom. Nian Nian's room is spacious and sunny, isn't it? Let Xiao Xiao move in there. As for Su Nian, he shot me a disdainful glance. Let her stay in that storage room. She's supposed to be experiencing hardship anyway. What's the point of wasting a good room on her? The storage room, dark, damp, windowless, barely 5 square meters. He was going to banish his own flesh and blood to live in a storage room. And then what happened? No, my mom finally exploded, screaming, Su Jiangwo, you can't do this. That's Nian Nian's room. Why can't I? I run this house. Su Jiangwo was enraged by my mom's defiance, his face contorting. Li Hui, I'm warning you, don't push your luck. My mom flinched at his roar, instinctively taking a step back. Lin Xiaoxiao quickly intervened, tugging at Su Jiangwo's arm. Uncle, please don't be like this. Auntie just cares about sister. Maybe I should take the storage room instead. Any place is fine for me. Her self-sacrificing words only made Su Jiangwo feel more protective of her. Absolutely not. A good girl like you shouldn't live in such a place. He turned to glare at me, issuing an ultimatum. Su Nian, I'll count to 3, move your things out yourself, or I'll throw them out for you. I looked at him without saying a word. I simply turned away in silence and walked into my room, the room I'd lived in for 18 years. My favorite airplane posters still hung on the walls, and the shelves were crammed with aviation magazines. On the desk sits the airplane model I built with my own hands. This place holds all my dreams and youthful memories. Now, they'll all belong to someone else. I didn't bother packing the books or models, just opened the wardrobe, grabbed some clean clothes, and stuffed them into my backpack. Then I walked out without looking back. As I passed the living room, Lin Xiaoxiao was holding my father's arm, whispering something softly. My father's face showed unprecedented tenderness and adoration. At that moment, it almost felt like they were the real father and daughter, yet I'm just an unwelcome intruder who's taken someone else's place. I walked to the storage room door and pulled it open. A musty smell hit me in the face. The space was crammed with all sorts of clutter, leaving only a small clearing. I tossed my backpack to the ground without hesitation and stepped inside. The moment the door closed, all outside noise was cut off. Only darkness and silence remained in the world. Leaning against the cold wall, I slowly slid down to sit. I didn't cry, because I knew from that day onward, tears were the most useless thing. What I must do is endure, and wait. I'll meticulously record every ounce of pain and humiliation they've inflicted upon me. Then one day, I'll repay them 100-fold. With interest. My phone vibrated. A text from the bank. Dear customer, your savings card account ending in XXXX spent 5 Chinese yuan, 00000 on X/X. Your current balance is 12 Chinese yuan, 50. Su Jiangwo is a man of his word. He really did block all my cards, leaving me with only $12.50. He wants me to experience the hardships of life. Fine by me, then I'll go experience it myself. We'll see who breaks first, me from the hardships, or him from his own devotion and kindness backfiring. I woke up starving the next morning. Slap, the storage room was stuffy and sweltering. My body drenched in sweat, throat parched like it was on fire. I stepped out of the storage room to find the living room completely empty. An elegant breakfast was laid out on the dining table: milk, sandwiches, and a small plate of fruit. There were 2 servings. One portion belonged to Su Jiangwo, the other portion naturally belonged to his current, darling daughter, Lin Xiaoxiao. I walked to the kitchen and opened the fridge. Completely empty, not even a bottle of water left for me. I let out a cold laugh and shut the fridge door. Su Jiangwo, you've really outdone yourself this time. I slung my nearly empty backpack over my shoulder and walked out of this so-called home. 12.50. That was everything I owned. I spent 2 yuan on 2 steamed buns and 50 cents on a bottle of water. After wolfing them down, I finally felt alive again. I need to find a job immediately, or I won't even have dinner tonight. I wandered aimlessly down the street, scanning the help wanted signs in shop windows. Waitress wanted, must have pleasant appearance and good demeanor, cashier position, computer proficiency required. I don't seem to fit any of these. Fresh out of high school, all I know is taking tests. I've got nothing else to offer. Eventually, I spotted a rundown diner tucked away in a back alley. The glass door had 2 sloppily painted red characters: help wanted. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The shop was greasy, filled with a nauseating mix of heavy cooking fumes and the stench of spoiled food. A plump middle-aged woman in a greasy apron sat by the entrance cracking sunflower seeds. She lifted her eyelids and gave me a lazy once-over. What do you want? Hello, I saw you're hiring. I tried to sound as sincere as possible. Dishwasher position, 100 a day, includes 1 meal. You in? She spat out a melon seed shell. Getting straight to the point, I'm in, I answered without hesitation, and just like that, I became a dishwasher at Lao Wang's home-style cuisine. My job was to stand behind a greasy sink, endlessly washing mountains of dishes. The detergent burned my hands red, making them peel with an itchy, stinging pain. The kitchen fumes left me dizzy and groggy all day, like I was half asleep. Every day, I work from noon until 10 p.m., without a break. When we close up, the boss's wife would casually toss me some leftovers from customers' plates. That's what passes for my dinner. Sometimes it's half a bowl of cold rice, other times just a few wilted vegetables. This is the human suffering Su Jiangwo wanted me to experience. And yes, it was truly tough. So tough that every night when I got back to that moldy storage room, I was too exhausted to even lift a finger. But I didn't complain, and I didn't cry. Every night, I take out my phone and open that password-protected memo, carefully writing down every bit of hardship I endured that day. August 10th, first day at work. Washed dishes for 10 hours straight, hands completely raw. Dinner was leftover fried rice from customers. August 11th, got yelled at by the boss's wife for breaking a plate, docked 20 yuan from my pay. On August 12th, Lin Xiaoxiao sent me a picture. It was a selfie. In the photo, Lin Xiaoxiao was wearing a brand new designer dress, standing in front of a mirror at a high-end mall. The tag was still on the dress, clearly showing the price, 4,999 yuan. She also added a caption: Xiaoxiao, sis, how are you doing abroad? Uncle bought me a new dress. He said when I start school overseas, I should dress properly to uphold our Chinese dignity. Staring at that dress, a memory suddenly surfaced. It was the exact dress I'd begged my dad for, but he refused, saying it was too expensive. Yet now, he bought it for Lin Xiaoxiao without hesitation. I turned off my phone, buried my face in my knees, and laughed silently. Su Jiangwo, Lin Xiaoxiao, every ounce of suffering you inflict on me now, I'll make you repay in blood someday. I endured this living hell for a full month, until the vocational school in Jiangxing reopened. On the first day of school, neither Su Jiangwo nor my mother showed up. There I was, carrying that worn-out backpack on the bus. Arriving at this school whose name I'd never even heard in my previous life. The school was tiny and dilapidated, with a pothole-riddled playground and peeling paint on the classroom buildings. Students milling about mostly sported rainbow-colored hair, cigarettes dangling from their mouths with a couldn't-care-less attitude. This place felt like a different universe compared to my dream university and my peers who got into Tsinghua or Peking. I was assigned to a major called Hotel Management. The dorm room was for 8 people, and it was filthy and messy. My roommates looked at me, this outsider, with a suitcase, dressed plainly, and looking like a bookworm, with undisguised disdain and mockery in their eyes. Well, look what the cat dragged in, newbie, huh, judging by your country bumpkin look, which backwater did you crawl out of? We don't take bookworms here. I ignored them, quietly found my bunk, and started making the bed. Just then, a commotion erupted at the dormitory entrance. A familiar, grating voice rang out, "Sis, I came to see you." There stood Lin Xiaoxiao at the dorm entrance, dressed like a princess in that $700 designer dress with the latest Chanel bag draped over her arm, and right behind her was my father, Su Jiangwo. His arms were loaded with bags of premium snacks and fruits, beaming with unmistakable pride. Their arrival was like a beam of light, instantly illuminating the shabby dormitory. Yet it also felt like a needle piercing straight through my heart. Every roommate's gaze was drawn to them. Su Jiangwo cleared his throat and announced loudly to the entire dorm in a boastful tone, "Hello everyone, I'm Sun Yan's father. We'd really appreciate your kindness toward our Sun Yan in the future." Then he shifted the conversation, pointing at Lin Xiaoxiao beside him with visible pride as he said, "This is our other daughter, Lin Xiaoxiao. She'll be studying in the UK very soon. Unlike some people who can't get their act together and are stuck in this dump," he said while shooting me a contemptuous sidelong glance. At that moment, the entire dorm fell dead silent. All eyes were fixed on me. There were looks of pity, sneers, and outright schadenfreude. I'd become the biggest laughingstock in this dorm. No, in the entire school. I stood frozen, clutching the half-tucked bedsheet in my hands. I stared at Su Jiangwo's smug face and Lin Xiaoxiao's venomous eyes. Slowly, ever so slowly, my fists clenched tight, my nails dug deep into my palms, the pain sharp and stinging. But what was this physical pain compared to the searing hatred in my heart? "Uncle, please don't speak about my sister that way." Lin Xiaoxiao launched into her usual phony act again, clinging to Su Jiangwo's arm with sickeningly sweet coquetry. "Big sister just has her own way of thinking, actually. Jiangqing Vocational School isn't so bad. At least you'll learn a trade and won't starve to death someday." Her words pretended to defend me while secretly grinding me into the dirt. She enunciated, "Starve to death," with particular clarity. The roommates burst into undisguised snickers. Su Jiangwo couldn't stop singing her praises after hearing her words. "Sounds good. Look how well our Xiaoxiao speaks. Sun Yan, if you had half her sense, I wouldn't have to worry about you so much." As he spoke, he piled all the bags he was carrying onto Lin Xiaoxiao's desk. That desk used to be the cleanest in the dorm, waiting for its owner to arrive. Now it's completely covered with expensive imported snacks and fruits. "These are all for you, Xiaoxiao," Su Jiangwo said affectionately. "Share them with your new dorm mates. Consider it my early farewell gift for you." He didn't seem to realize this was my dorm, and these were my roommates. In his eyes, I might as well have been invisible. Lin Xiaoxiao responded sweetly, "Thank you, uncle. You're so kind to me." Then she picked up a bunch of glistening imported grapes and walked over to one of my roommates. That roommate happened to be the girl with smoky eye makeup and a nose ring who'd previously led the mockery against me. "Hi there, I'm Lin Xiaoxiao. Here, have this." Xiaoxiao beamed with innocent delight. The girl with smoky eye makeup paused briefly before breaking into a smile and accepting the grapes. "Hey, I'm Li Shan. So you're Sun Yan's little sister. You're way prettier than your sister, no contest. Seriously, rich, gorgeous, and studying in the UK, total life goals," chimed in another roommate, eyes sparkling with envy. "Unlike some people who flaunt their provincial top scorer title, yet end up in this third-rate college. Who knows if they cheated on exams and got busted before being exiled here." Their gossiping voices were just loud enough for me to hear every word crystal clear. Lin Xiaoxiao stood among them like a princess being fawned over by her entourage. While handing out snacks to everyone, she accidentally let slip some embarrassing stories about me. "Oh, come on, don't talk about my sister like that. She's actually really smart, just a bit strong-willed. Dad wanted her to go to teachers' college, but she insisted on becoming a pilot of all things, so dangerous for a girl. She even had a huge fight with Dad at the admissions office, and in a fit of anger just applied here. 3. With just a few words, she painted me as some ungrateful, rebellious, impulsive fool. She positioned herself as the perfect younger sister, kind, sensible, always putting her elder sister first. Su Jiangwo listened nearby, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. This was exactly the outcome he'd wanted. He wanted the whole world to know what an exceptional adopted daughter he had, and what a disgrace his biological daughter turned out to be. He's using my shortcomings to highlight Lin Xiaoxiao's perfection. Standing by my bed, I watched coldly as my father and his perfect daughter starred in this farce together. My heart was as still as stagnant water. Humiliation, from the moment of my rebirth. I've locked these emotions away in the deepest recesses of my heart. Now they serve only as fuel for my vengeance. The farce lasted about half an hour. Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao departed contentedly amidst a chorus of flattery and adulation. After they left, the dorm room took on an even creepier atmosphere. The smoky-eyed girl named Li Shan walked up to me while eating grapes, sizing me up with a disdainful look. "Hey, provincial top scorer." She spat a grape peel with perfect accuracy onto my freshly made bed. "Your dad's really something else. He treats an outsider better than his own kid. Are you actually adopted?" I looked up, staring at her silently. "Take your trash and get out." My voice was icy. Li Shan paused for a moment, then burst into exaggerated laughter as if she'd heard the funniest joke in the world. "Huh, did I hear that right? You dare speak to me like that?" Her roommates behind her also gathered around, each with a malicious grin on their faces. "Shanjia, this newbie seems a bit out of it. She needs to learn the rules of this dorm." Li Shan tossed the grapes in her hand onto the table, crossed her arms, and stepped toward me. "So you're Sun Yan, let me make this clear. In this dorm, Li Shan, call the shots. From now on, you're solely responsible for keeping this place clean, fetching water and buying meals for us daily. That's your job now. If you dare say no," she jabbed her finger hard into my shoulder, "I'll make sure you won't last a single day in this school." I stared at her arrogant face and the lackeys swaggering behind her like foxes borrowing a tiger's fierceness. This was my college life. This was the gift Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao had given me. Slowly lowering my gaze, I stared at that disgusting grape peel on the bedsheet. Then I reached out and pinched it between my fingers, just as Li Shan thought I'd surrendered, her face breaking into a smug grin. My hand shot up suddenly. With lightning speed, I shoved that soggy, slimy grape skin right into her mouth. Li Shan's eyes widened like saucers. Everyone was stunned. Nobody expected that a meek, bookish pushover like me would dare to pull such a shocking stunt. "So you enjoy littering, do you?" I looked straight at her and enunciated each word with deliberate clarity. "Then you can eat it yourself." Li Shan's face turned beet red. With a retching ugh, she spat out the grape skin in her mouth, then charged at me like a rabid lioness, screaming, "Sun Yan, I'll fucking kill you." Her long, sharp nails, painted black like venomous claws, came slashing straight at my face. The instant before her nails could pierce my skin, I jerked my knee up with every ounce of strength and rammed it into her gut. "Arg!" Li Shan let out a blood-curdling scream, curling up like a boiled shrimp before collapsing to the ground. Her lackey stood frozen in shock behind her, momentarily forgetting to intervene. I looked down coldly at Li Shan writhing on the ground. Working in the restaurant kitchen for over a month had been grueling, but it built real muscle. That's more than enough to deal with this paper tiger. All bark and no bite. Who else wants me to clean their room, fetch water, or buy meals for them? I scanned the remaining girls in the dorm room. They all took a step back in fear under my glare, shaking their heads frantically. I averted my gaze and looked back at Li Shan on the ground. "Remember, I'm not here to make friends, much less play babysitter. You don't mess with me, we won't have problems. If anyone dares to throw trash on my bed again." I paused, bent down, and whispered into her ear in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Next time, who knows what'll be shoved into your mouth." With that, I straightened up without another glance at her and turned to continue making my bed. Behind me came Li Shan's muffled groans of pain and the terrified breathing of the others. I knew from that day onward, the word bullying would never darken my college life again, but I also knew my real troubles were just beginning. Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao would never let me off that easily. Sure enough, within days, I started noticing something wasn't right. My mom, Li Hui, called me on the phone. Her voice sounded incredibly tired and slurred, like she'd just woken up. "Nian Nian, are you doing okay at school?" "I'm fine, Mom. How about you? Are you feeling unwell?" I immediately picked up on her unusual tone. I'm fine, just feeling constantly exhausted lately, like I can't get enough sleep." "Mom, have you been taking any medication recently?" I asked cautiously. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Your father said I've been a bit neurasthenic. He got me some sedatives that supposedly help with sleep. Sedatives? My heart sank like a stone. In my past life, my mother also started becoming increasingly drowsy and forgetful around this time. She became completely listless, losing interest in everything. At the time, I just thought she was overly distraught because of what happened with me. It wasn't until Su Jiangwo had her committed to a mental hospital that I belatedly realized something was terribly wrong, but by then, it was too late for everything, in this life. I absolutely cannot let that tragedy repeat itself. Mom, listen to me. No matter what medicine Dad gives you, don't take it, pretend to swallow it, then secretly spit it out. Do you hear me? My voice trembled with urgency. Nian Nian, what's wrong? Your dad, don't ask why. Just do as I say. Mom, I'm begging you. I had no idea if my words had gotten through to Mom. After hanging up, I felt restless the entire day. I had to find a way back home to figure out what kind of medicine Su Jiangwo was giving my mom, but I was completely broke. The round-trip fare from school to my so-called home would cost me $10. I can barely afford meals, let alone spare any extra money. The only solution is to find a part-time job. School life turned out to be much tougher than I'd imagined, though no one dares to bully me openly now. The isolation and exclusion never stop. I became the celebrity of my entire class. Even the whole school, the freak who turned down being the provincial top scorer to attend a third-rate college, the castaway, even his own father publicly humiliated. I had no friends, always keeping to myself. After class every day, I'd work part-time at restaurants near campus, waiting tables, washing dishes, handing out flyers. I took any job that paid. I never asked Su Jiangwo for another dime of living expenses. I barely scraped by with my hard-earned money. Managing to secretly save a few dozen bucks, over the weekend, I finally saved enough for the trip back home. I boarded the bus, returning to that suffocating place that choked my soul. The house fell silent as I turned the key in the lock. Neither Su Jiangwo nor Lin Xiaoxiao were around. Only my mother remained, lying motionless on the couch in deep sleep. Her face was deathly pale, lips completely bloodless. She looked utterly lifeless. I walked over and gave her a gentle nudge. Mom, Mom. She didn't respond at all. My heart skipped a beat as I reached to check her breathing. Thank goodness, she was still breathing. It's just too heavy. I walked into the kitchen and started rummaging through the trash. Soon enough, I found an empty pill bottle. It had no label. One of those plain white plastic bottles hospitals use for repackaged medication. A few white pills remained inside. I poured the pills into my palm, snapped a photo with my phone, and searched online. When the search results appeared, my blood ran cold. Clozapine, a potent antipsychotic medication, primarily used to treat schizophrenia. Side effects: drowsiness, fatigue, slowed thinking, memory impairment. Prolonged use may cause irreversible brain damage. Su Jiangwo, he's been feeding this drug to my mother all along. I laughed. This wasn't about calming her nerves. He wanted to completely destroy her. A bone-chilling cold shot up from my feet to the crown of my head. My hand trembled so violently I could barely hold the phone. Why would he do this? Just because my mother talked back to him a few times? Or, is there some deeper, more terrifying reason behind this? I didn't dare to think further. All I knew was that I had to get my mother out of here immediately. But where could I possibly take her? I can't even support myself. Slumped on the icy floor. I felt bone-deep helplessness and despair for the first time. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I sniffled, trying to steady my voice before answering the call. Hello, Miss Sun Yan, came an aged yet authoritative male voice through the receiver. Speaking, I'm your grandfather, Li Zhenhua. Grandfather, Li Zhenhua. That name struck through my hazy memories like lightning. Of course I know who Li Zhenhua is. He's a renowned business tycoon in the capital, a true patriarch of high society. He's also the biological father of my mother, Li Hui, but ever since I can remember, I've never actually met him. None for me. The only time I heard my dad Su Jiangwo mention it was when he was drunk, dripping with contempt. Said my grandfather looked down on him as some poor nobody back then, dead set against Mom marrying him. In the end, Mom cut ties with her family for his sake and followed him without hesitation to this backwater town called Jiangcheng. So why, after all these years, would Grandpa suddenly call me out of the blue? Miss Sun Yan. The voice on the phone said tonelessly, I've received what you sent. Something I sent. I froze momentarily before the realization hit me. After being reborn, on the night before visiting the admissions office, I'd anonymously mailed a letter to my grandfather's company address using memories from my past life. In the letter, I kept it brief, just detailing how my father Su Jiangwo had mistreated my mother all these years, oppressed me, and how I was being forced to abandon my college aspirations. At the time, I was just clutching at straws, giving it a shot out of sheer desperation. I never actually expected this legendary grandfather of mine to even acknowledge me. To my surprise, he not only received the letter but personally called me back. "My child, you and your mother have suffered all these years." Grandfather's voice carried a tinge of weariness and remorse. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. 18 years have passed. That was the first time I'd ever heard a family member say, "You've been wronged." I bit my lip hard, trying to keep myself from crying out loud. "You mentioned in your letter that your father forced you to apply to a vocational college." "Yes," I said, trying to compose myself. "Nonsense." Grandfather's voice rose sharply with unquestionable authority. "How could anyone from the Lee family attend such a third-rate institution? Here's what we'll do. You'll withdraw from that school immediately. I've already arranged your enrollment at a British boarding school. You'll be leaving next month. Study abroad." In my previous life, it was Lin Xiaoxiao who got to study overseas. This lifetime, this opportunity, it actually fell into my hands. In the past, I would have been overjoyed, but now, I glanced at my mother lying unconscious on the couch. Then at the lethal bottle in my hand. "I can't leave, at least, not now, Grandpa. Thank you, but I can't go abroad," I said, taking a deep breath as I made my decision. After a long pause, Grandpa finally spoke slowly, his voice tinged with confusion. "Why, didn't you want to be a pilot? I've arranged for you to attend the best aviation academy in the UK, because of my mom." I told Grandpa every single detail about how Su Jiangwo drugged my mother. I could clearly hear Grandpa's breathing growing heavier on the other end of the line. As I spoke the final word, a loud crash came through the phone, like something had been violently thrown to the ground. "Bastard, that absolute bastard." Grandfather's voice turned hoarse with barely contained rage. "I must have been blind. How could I ever let Hui Hui marry such a heartless monster?" "Nian Nian, don't be afraid. Grandpa will handle this. Right now, don't do anything. Protect yourself. And protect your mother too. The most important thing is to find a way to get evidence of that bastard's crimes. With solid evidence, I can make sure he never sees daylight again." As I hung up the phone, I felt an overwhelming surge of strength coursing through me. I'm not fighting this battle alone anymore. I have powerful backing now, backing strong enough to stand against Su Jiangwo. I wiped away my tears and stood up again. The first step was to replace my mother's medication. I carefully stored away the bottle of clozapine, then used my hard-earned savings to buy an identical-looking bottle of vitamin tablets from the pharmacy. Back home, before Su Jiangwo returned, I transferred the vitamin tablets into that little white medicine bottle and put it back exactly where it belonged. With everything done, I slipped away quietly. I didn't alert a soul. From that day on, I waged a secret war. By day, I attended classes and waited tables at a diner. At night, I'd return to that dim storage room and unpack my covert gear, a second-hand recorder and pinhole camera. I began secretly recording every conversation between Su Jiangwo and my mother, recording how he used that gentle tone to coax my mother into taking those sedatives, recording how he'd curse at her and belittle her when she was in a dazed state. What truly sent chills down my spine was what gradually came to light. Su Jiangwo, I think he's genuinely ill, and seriously ill at that. One night, through a hidden pinhole camera in the living room, I witnessed something utterly bizarre. Late at night, the living room was pitch black. Su Jiangwo stepped out of the room alone. Instead of turning on the light, he lit a white candle. Then he took out a photo frame from a locked drawer. Inside the frame was a young woman in a white dress. The girl smiled sweetly, her eyes and brows bearing an uncanny resemblance to Lin Xiaoxiao. Su Jiangwo placed the photo frame on the table, then laid out several offerings, a plate of apples and another of pastries. He murmured prayers before the frame as if paying homage to the departed. "Shwe, can you see this? Our daughter has grown up. She's becoming more like you every day. She's so well-behaved and obedient, 100 times better than that bastard child. Don't worry, I'll take care of that troublesome mother and daughter pair soon, very soon. When the time comes, our little family of 3 can be together forever." His voice sounded particularly eerie and terrifying in the dead of night. Huddled under the blankets watching this scene unfold on my phone screen, I felt chills run down my spine. My teeth were chattering uncontrollably. Shwa, who is that girl? What do you mean, our daughter? What does dispose of that mother and child mean? A terrifying thought began festering in my mind. Su Jiangwo's kindness toward Lin Xiaoxiao was never just some simple financial support. He saw Lin Xiaoxiao as the daughter he could have had with that woman named Shui. He wanted to rebuild a family for his deceased White Moonlight and her supposed reincarnation, and my mother and I, we were just the obstacles that needed to be removed from this picture-perfect family. Now I finally understand why he drugged my mother, why he treated me with such cruelty, because in his twisted world, we were never his family, we were his sworn enemies. The mortal foes standing between him and his so-called true love. This realization sent chills down my spine. What I was facing wasn't just a biased father, but a complete and utter madman. Ever since uncovering Su Jiangwo's secret, I've been living in constant terror and vigilance. I don't dare go home casually anymore, afraid that lunatic might notice something amiss. I could only watch everything happening in that house through hidden cameras, like some peeping Tom. After my mom stopped taking clozapine and switched to vitamins, her mental state visibly improved. She's no longer drowsy all day, and her eyes gradually regained clarity. She began to grow suspicious of Su Jiangwo's behavior. Jiangwo, I've been feeling dizzy lately. What exactly are these pills you've been giving me? Maybe we should go see a doctor. One day at dinner, my mother cautiously brought up the request. Su Jiangwo's face darkened instantly. What hospital? Do you think I'd poison you? These are just mild sedatives. It's all in your head. He cut my mother off harshly, then softened his tone as he handed her that bottle of vitamins. Be a good girl now, take the medicine, and you'll feel better after some rest. My mother glanced at him, hesitation and fear flickering in her eyes, but she swallowed the pills obediently in the end. Watching this scene on screen, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. No more. I can't let this go on any longer. I need to pick up the pace. I sent Grandpa both the video of Su Jiangwo paying midnight tribute to his White Moonlight and updates about Mom's current condition. Grandpa responded quickly, Li Zhenhua, Nian Nian, the evidence isn't sufficient yet. This video alone can only prove his mental instability at best. It doesn't constitute a crime. We need more direct, more compelling evidence. Li Zhenhua, I've hired a private investigator to dig into that woman Shui's background, and assigned people to investigate the relationship between Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao. On your end, keep enduring and gathering evidence. Remember, your safety comes first. I knew Grandpa was right. When dealing with someone like Su Jiangwo, you must strike a fatal blow, leave no room for comeback. So, I poured all my energy into two things. First, working like crazy to earn money. Second, studying obsessively. I spent every spare moment in the school library, checking out every book I could find on aviation and flight, physics, mathematics, meteorology, aerodynamics. These theoretical subjects that once gave me headaches became my sole emotional anchor. With money saved from part-time jobs, I secretly enrolled in an online pilot theory course. The course was so expensive it nearly drained all my savings. Every night after my dorm mates fell asleep, I'd huddle under the blankets with my battered phone, secretly watching lectures and taking notes. I could feel my dreams slipping further away, but I couldn't give up. I must make myself stronger and better. Only then, when the day comes that I finally crush Su Jiangwo and Lin Xiaoxiao beneath my feet, can I righteously tell them, the future you destroyed was so brilliant, and how utterly unworthy you both were. Time slipped away day by day in this oppressive yet hectic routine. Soon enough, the day arrived for Lin Xiaoxiao to begin her study abroad journey in the UK. To bid her farewell, Su Jiangwo decided to host a grand send-off banquet at Jiangcheng's most upscale hotel. He invited all relatives from both the Su and Li families. Under the pretense of giving Xiaoxiao a proper send-off, he gathered everyone together. I whipped my head around. In reality, it was just his stage to flaunt his exemplary parenting skills. On the day of the banquet, I received a call from Su Jiangwo. His tone carried an unmistakable air of command. Su Nian, you must attend Xiaoxiao's farewell dinner tonight at 7 p.m., Hyatt Hotel. If you don't show up, I'll personally come to your school and drag you there by force. I held the phone and let out a cold laugh. Drag me there? Of course I'll be there. How could I miss such a grand occasion and spectacular show? Not only will I attend, but I'll also bring them a special gift, a gift so shocking, they'd never see it coming. At exactly 6:30 p.m., I showed up at the entrance of the Hyatt Hotel. I hadn't changed my clothes. I was still wearing the same grease-stained waiter's uniform from my kitchen shift, carrying that faint whiff of cooking oil. I hadn't even washed my face, messy hair and a sallow complexion. The whole person looked poor, tacky, and utterly disheveled. When I stepped into that opulent banquet hall, all eyes turned toward me like synchronized spotlights. Those relatives in their finery, holding wine glasses, looked at me with undisguised disdain and contempt. Oh my God, is that Sun Yan? How could she show up dressed like that? What an embarrassment. How could Su Jiangwo have raised such a daughter? I heard she bombed the college entrance exam, ended up at some third-rate vocational school, and now works as a waitress in some diner. TSK, what a shame. She used to be such a promising girl. I turned a deaf ear and strode straight toward the head table in the banquet hall. There sat Su Jiangwo, flushed with pride as he basked in everyone's flattery. Lin Xiaoxiao, dressed in a pristine princess gown with exquisite makeup, perched gracefully beside him like a proud white swan. The moment Su Jiangwo saw my appearance, his face darkened instantly. Sun Yan, what are you wearing? Are you deliberately trying to humiliate me? He growled under his breath, barely containing his rage. Lin Xiaoxiao rose to her feet, her face a perfect mask of feigned shock and concern. Sister, how could you let yourself become like this? Did someone mistreat you outside? Tell uncle everything. He'll help you. Once again, her words skillfully redirected all the conflict squarely onto me. The relatives' murmurs grew louder. This child is so ungrateful. Exactly. Her father treats her so well, yet she's still dissatisfied. I ignored them. I just walked up to the head table, pulled out an empty chair, and sat down. Then, in front of everyone, I fished something out of my greasy pocket. It was a battered old recorder. I placed it gently on the dining table. The appearance of the voice recorder instantly froze the atmosphere at the dinner table. Su Jiangwo's face turned from dark to ashen, his eyes fixed on the recorder with a flicker of panic. Sun Yan, what's the meaning of bringing this out? Put it away immediately. He reached out, attempting to snatch it. I was quicker than him, snatching back the recorder and clutching it tightly in my palm. Dad, take it easy. 5. I looked at him with an innocent smile. Isn't today Xiaoxiao's farewell party? I came specifically to give you all my blessings. This blessing of mine is rather special. It requires everyone to listen quietly together. As I spoke, I pressed play on the recorder. After a faint crackle of static, a familiar voice emerged from the recorder. It was my motherly Huey's voice, carrying a slight tremble and unease. Jiangwo, I've been feeling palpitations lately. Could we go to the hospital for a checkup? What followed was Su Jiangwo's impatient rebuke. Checkup? Nonsense. You're just idle. I told you it's just neurasthenia. Take some medicine and you'll be fine. Stop imagining things all the time. The banquet hall fell silent instantly. The relatives exchanged bewildered glances, their faces a picture of astonishment. Everyone in the family knew my mother's health was failing, but they had no idea this was how Su Jiangwo treated his ailing wife. Su Jiangwo's face turned beet red with fury. Sun Yan, turn that off right now, you ungrateful brat. How dare you record this? He roared like a caged beast, lunging forward, but several quick-thinking relatives restrained him just in time. Jiangwo, calm down, let the child finish speaking, an elderly uncle urged. The recording continues, but I keep feeling there's something wrong with the medicine you've been giving me. What's wrong with it? Would I ever hurt you? Listen here, Li Hui, don't bite the hand that feeds you. If it weren't for the daughter you bore me, I'd have divorced you long ago. You think I want to stay with this hag? If it weren't for our Shui, I wouldn't spend a single day looking at your face. The moment Shui left my lips, Su Jiangwo's body stiffened abruptly. All color drained from his face, leaving it deathly pale. And this was the moment I had been waiting for. I turned off the recording, looked up, and scanned the faces of my relatives, who were all staring in shock. Then, with an innocent and curious tone, I asked, Dad, who is this Shui you mentioned? From the way you talk about her, it sounds like you really loved her. You even said you stayed in this miserable marriage with Mom just for her sake. Then what exactly are you to Mom and me? Did you stay with our family just out of gratitude? Each of my questions struck like a knife, hitting Su Jiangwo right where he was most vulnerable. His eyes widened as he stared at me, lips trembling without uttering a single word. He probably never imagined in his wildest dreams that those secrets he whispered to the ancestral tablet at night would be exposed like this. By me, of all people. The relatives were completely up in arms. Shui, which Shui, is Su Jiangwo seeing someone else? My God, He actually wants to divorce Li Hui. No wonder Li Hui's health has been deteriorating. She's been driven to illness by him. In an instant, accusations and gossip surged toward Su Jiangwo like a tidal wave. The verbal onslaught left him reeling, barely able to keep his footing. Lin Xiaoxiao, sitting beside him, didn't look any better either. She probably never expected I'd pull this move. Her meticulously planned moment of glory had now turned into a farcical trial of her so-called benefactor. Frantic with tears welling up, she desperately tugged at Su Jiangwo's arm. Uncle, explain quickly. It's all a misunderstanding, my sister. She must have gotten it all wrong. She's still trying to play her innocent little White Lotus act to muddy the waters. Too bad nobody's buying her act this time. I looked at her and let out a cold laugh. A misunderstanding? Why don't we ask my father and find out? My gaze returned to Su Jiangwo. Dad, won't you say something? Just who is this Aishua? What exactly is your relationship with her? And when you said, for our Aishua's sake, exactly who does our refer to here? I pressed forward relentlessly, leaving him no room to breathe. Su Jiangwo was being driven back step by step. His sanity teetering on the edge, he stared at me, his eyes brimming with venomous hatred and raw terror. You wretched bastard, what the hell do you want? I don't want anything, I shrugged, feigning innocence. I just want everyone to judge for themselves. Let them see what a magnificent husband and loving father you truly are. Take a good look at this pure-hearted, kind and sensible Xiao beside you. What a grateful little angel she truly is, I said, turning my gaze toward Lin Xiaoxiao with an increasingly radiant smile. Isn't that right, Xiaoxiao? Lin Xiaoxiao shivered under my stare, instinctively shrinking back. Just then, the doors to the banquet hall were violently pushed open from the outside. Two bodyguards in black suits and sunglasses positioned themselves on either side of the entrance. Immediately after, an elderly man, seated in a wheelchair with a full head of silver hair, yet still exuding a powerful aura, was slowly wheeled in. Behind him followed a woman, dressed impeccably, with a weary face but remarkably clear eyes. It's Grandpa, and Mom, too. The moment I saw them arrive, I knew, anger. Only now has my grand gift truly been delivered. The banquet hall fell into dead silence. All eyes were fixed on the group at the entrance. Su Jiangwo looked like his soul had left his body the moment he saw my grandfather Li Zhenhua, collapsing limply into his chair. Mr. Li, what brings you here? His voice was trembling uncontrollably. Grandpa ignored him. His gaze cut through the crowd and landed on me. Those weather-beaten eyes brimmed with heartache and remorse. Then, his gaze shifted to my mother standing beside me. After stopping medication and undergoing careful recuperation, my mother Li Hui remained slender but had fully regained her vitality. She was no longer that timid, submissive housewife who'd let others walk all over her. Her eyes now carried the steely resolve and piercing clarity of someone reborn from ashes. She pushed her grandfather's wheelchair forward, step by step, making her way toward the head table. Each step felt like a stomp directly on Su Jiangwo's heart. Su Jiangwo, my mother finally spoke, her voice quiet yet carrying clearly to every ear in the room. We need to talk. Su Jiangwo stared at her as if he'd seen a ghost. Your illness. You're better now, thanks to you. I'm still alive. My mother sneered. Mind telling me who this Ashwa you keep mentioning is? Su Jiangwo stammered, cold sweat beating down his temples in fat droplets. He threw Lin Xiaoxiao a pleading glance, but Lin Xiaoxiao was currently like a clay idol fording a river, barely able to save herself. She stared at my grandfather and mother, her face deathly pale, barely daring to breathe. You won't talk, is that it? My mother's eyes turned ice cold. Fine, if you won't speak, I'll speak for you. She pulled a stack of documents and a yellowed old photo from her bag, then slammed them violently onto Su Jiangwo's face. Chen Shui died in a car accident 20 years ago. She was your college sweetheart, your unforgettable first love, wasn't she? You've always believed it was me, this spoiled rich girl, who came between you, that I used my family's influence to force you into marriage, which led to her death. Isn't that right? Su Jiangwo looked at the photo, trembling uncontrollably. How did you know? How did I know? My mom laughed, her voice filled with sorrow and mockery. Su Jiangwo, did you really think I, Li Hui, was a fool? You never married me for some bullshit love. You were after my family's money and influence from the start. You've been spending my fortune while secretly supporting that white moonlight of yours behind my back. And after she died, you even brought her niece into our home, raising her like your own daughter. My mother suddenly whipped her head around, her gaze piercing through the petrified Lin Xiaoxiao like a dagger. Lin Xiaoxiao, am I right? With a loud thud, Lin Xiaoxiao slid off her chair and collapsed to her knees. Auntie, I don't know, I really don't know anything, she was wailing hysterically, still trying to play the same old trick. Sadly, this time no one would believe her tears anymore. You don't know, grandfather finally spoke, his voice as cold as ice. Then how do you explain this paternity test report? The bodyguard behind him stepped forward and flung a document in front of Lin Xiaoxiao. You were never Chen Shui's niece, you're her blood sister, Chen Xiaoxiao, and your father wasn't some poor farmer. He was the drunk driver who caused that fatal crash. It was Su Jiangwo all along. For years he's been embezzling our Li family's money to cover your tracks, forge your records, and orchestrate this whole scheme to infiltrate and betray us. Every word from Grandpa exploded like a bombshell in the banquet hall. The shocking truth left everyone utterly dumbfounded. Lin Xiaoxiao, no, she should be called Chen Xiaoxiao. Staring at the paternity test results, she completely fell apart. No, that's not how it is. When Su Jiangwo heard the words, hit and run driver, it was as if the last ounce of strength had been drained from his body. He knew it was all over. All his pretenses, all his schemes, crumbled pathetically before absolute authority and irrefutable evidence. At that moment, I finally rose from my prolonged silence. I walked up to Su Jiangwo and looked down at him with quiet dominance. Dad, I've got one last gift for you. I pulled out my phone and tapped open a video. The video shows a living room in the dead of night. Su Jiangwo lit a candle, murmuring to Chen Shui's memorial tablet. Shui, don't worry, I'll take care of that troublesome mother and daughter soon. I've already drugged the old woman, she won't last much longer. Once Xiao goes abroad, I'll make sure the little one has an accident too, then our family of 3 can be together forever. The video ended, a deathly silence fell over the banquet hall. Everyone stared at Su Jiangwo with the horrified look reserved for the devil himself. Premeditated murder, this charge alone could land him behind bars for life. Su Jiangwo had completely lost his mind. He suddenly sprang to his feet, eyes bloodshot, and lunged at me. It's you, you damn bastard, I'll kill you. Before he could reach me, 2 black-suited bodyguards rushed in and pinned him firmly to the ground. 6. As for me, I just watched him coldly, staring at the man who gave me life, only to personally cast me into hell. I slowly crouched down, leaning close to his ear. I whispered in a voice only we could hear, Dad, forgot to tell you something. In your past life, you made it. I died on New Year's Eve during senior year, but this lifetime belongs to you now. May you rot in hell with your love for Aksu. I wasn't hiding. With that, I stood up without giving him another glance. I knew it then. Every nightmare from the first half of my life was finally over. My brand new life was just beginning. Su Jiangwo's screams and curses were mercilessly silenced by the bodyguards. He thrashed like a fish on a chopping board, his futile struggles fading into desperate gasps. Chen Xiaoxiao, Lin Xiaoxiao, collapsed like a ragdoll, her ashen face streaked with tears and snot as she babbled. It wasn't me, repeatedly. Not a trace left of her, pure white lotus, persona. The relatives who'd been fawning over them moments ago now recoiled as if from the plague. Desperate to avoid any association with the venomous couple, their faces were frozen in shock, lingering fear, and faint glimmers of relief. Grandfather Li Zhenhua waved his hand, his voice as cold and hard as steel. The 2 bodyguards immediately pulled out their phones. No, don't call the police. Su Jiangwo heard those words and let out a final, desperate wail like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Li Hui, for the sake of our marriage, for the sake of Nian Nian being our daughter, please spare me this once. He's playing the emotional card now. My mother Li Hui stared at him with utterly placid eyes, brimming with nothing but bottomless disgust. Husband and wife, daughter, Su Jiangwo, when you drugged me, when you were about to murder my daughter, did it ever cross your mind that we were your wife and child? You never did. In your heart, there's only your white moonlight and that fake daughter of hers. We're just obstacles in your path of revenge. Every word from my mother pierced Su Jiangwo's heart like an awl. He was completely silenced. Good, the police arrived quickly. The moment the cold handcuffs clicked onto Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao's wrists, the nearly 2-decade-long conspiracy finally came to an end. Attempted murder, long-term poisoning, identity fraud, property embezzlement. They shall face the full force of the law. The farce ended as guests dispersed. Only our family of 3 remained in the deserted banquet hall. Grandfather looked at me, his wrinkled face breaking into a heartrending smile. My dear child, I'm so sorry for all you've been through. I shook my head, walked over to him, and gently hugged him. Grandpa, thank you. Thank you for giving me a ray of light when I was at my most desperate. My mother walked over and wrapped her arms around us from behind. The three of us held each other tightly in a warm embrace. 18 years overdue. This family reunion came late, but thankfully, not too late. It wasn't until I returned to my grandfather's villa in Jiangcheng that I truly understood the meaning of home. No oppression here, no scheming, no endless quarrels, just warm lamplight and the caring gazes of family. Grandpa had a brand new room prepared for me, easily 10 times larger than my old one. The room was filled with all kinds of airplane models I loved, plus a massive astronomical telescope. Nian. Grandpa knows how much you love these things. From now on, chase whatever dreams you have. Your grandpa will always have your back. Watching all this, my eyes welled up with tears again. My mother patted my back gently and said softly, "Silly child, go take a shower and change your clothes. Wash away all that bad luck." After showering and slipping into clean, soft pajamas, I felt like I'd come back to life, sitting on the plush bed, gazing at the starry sky outside the window. I experienced an unprecedented sense of peace and security for the first time. The next day, my grandfather's legal team showed up at my doorstep. They brought with them Su Jiangwo and Li Hui's divorce agreement, along with a detailed asset division list. That's when I realized all of Su Jiangwo's assets, including that small company he was so proud of, were actually funded with my mother's premarital property. He's nothing but a gold-digging freeloader, legally speaking. He won't get a single cent after the divorce. What's more, he'll have to pay substantial compensation for the mental and physical harm he caused my mother. Frankly, he'll probably never repay that money in his lifetime. I've already given instructions regarding Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao's case, Grandpa said casually, sipping tea on the sofa. With multiple charges stacked together, they won't see daylight for at least 20 years. This outcome satisfies me completely. As for you, Grandpa turned his gaze toward me. I've already processed your withdrawal from Jiangcheng Vocational School. The offer from the British Aviation Academy has been sent to your email. Next month, you'll be heading abroad. I looked at my grandfather, my heart swelling with gratitude. He had paved every step of the way for me, a golden path leading straight to my dreams. After a moment's hesitation, I finally spoke up. Grandpa, I think I'll postpone going to the UK for now. Both Grandpa and Mom froze in surprise. Why? Mom asked, clearly puzzled. Nian, haven't you always dreamed of becoming a pilot? This is such a golden opportunity. Yes, it's been my lifelong dream, I said earnestly, looking at them, but I want to earn my way in, fair and square, through my own efforts, not by riding on my family's coattails. In my past life, others controlled and shattered my destiny. This time, I'll piece it back together, bit by bit, with my own hands. I want to take the college entrance exam with dignity, just once, to proudly see my name written on the admission letter of Beihua Aviation Flight Academy. This isn't just about fulfilling a dream, it's about making a clean break from the weak, helpless person I used to be. Grandfather gazed at me in prolonged silence. His piercing eyes seemed to see straight through all my hidden thoughts. Finally, he smiled with quiet satisfaction. That's my Li Zhenhua's granddaughter, spirited to the core. Grandpa's got your back. If you want to retake the exams, I'll find you the best teachers in all of China. If you want to take an exam, I'll book out the entire school just for you to use as an exam hall. In short, you just focus on moving forward. I'll handle everything behind you. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Mom. Back from hell, I can finally chase my son without hesitation. My life turned upside down after deciding to retake the college entrance exams. True to his word, Grandpa pulled out all the stops, leveraging every connection and resource to create what could only be described as a premium study environment for me. Instead of sending me to those sketchy cram schools, he arranged for a private, top scorer boot camp, exclusively for me at Jiangcheng's most elite private high school. I was the only student in the class. All my instructors were top-tier experts in their respective fields, handpicked from across the nation with premium compensation. My physics teacher coached National Olympiad gold medalists, the chemistry professor retired from the National College Entrance Exam Committee, and the English instructor was a visiting scholar at Oxford. The sheer prestige of this faculty lineup left me utterly awestruck. My daily routine simply shuttled me from one classroom to another, receiving one-on-one spoon-fed knowledge cramming. At first, I wasn't quite comfortable with it, but soon, I became fully immersed in this pure learning environment. Like a parched sponge, I voraciously absorbed the nutrients of knowledge. The problems that once troubled me became crystal clear under these master teachers' guidance. My grades improved by leaps and bounds, beyond academics. My mother took meticulous care of every aspect of my life. She prepared different nutritious meals for me every single day: bird's nest, sea cucumber, cordyceps. She'd give me all the finest things the world has to offer if she could. Watching her rosy cheeks and bustling figure, I finally understood how blessed I am to have a healthy, loving mother. Though Grandpa returned to Beijing, he still video calls me almost daily. He'd share fascinating business anecdotes with me and tell stories of his youthful struggles, broadening my horizons. He always said, "Nian Nian, a woman needs more than knowledge, she needs vision. Don't limit your perspective to exam papers, look at the bigger picture." Under such meticulous care and access to elite educational resources, I underwent a complete transformation. I was no longer that gloomy, frail girl consumed by bitterness. I'd become confident, cheerful, with a sparkle in my eyes. Of course, I never forgot my original dream. My grandfather specially installed a professional-grade flight simulator for me in the penthouse of our villa. Every week, I set aside a full day for flight training on the simulator. From takeoff to landing, from instrument recognition to emergency procedures, I practiced over and over again. Though it's just simulation, every time I grip the control stick and see that virtual runway ahead, my heart races uncontrollably. I know I was born to conquer the skies. Time flew by in a flash, and before I knew it, the day of my second college entrance exam arrived. The moment I stepped into the exam hall, my mind was calmer than ever before. This time, my beloved family stood firmly behind me. The future was truly in my own hands now. I have nothing left to fear. The day the college entrance exam results came out, the entire River City was in an uproar. 750 points, perfect score. Not only did I reclaim the title of provincial top scorer in Jiangcheng, but I also made history in the national college entrance exams. Media outlets swarmed in like bees to honey. Countless offers came pouring in. Both Tsinghua and Peking University rolled out their most generous offers, competing to recruit me. On the day of submitting my college choices, I didn't hesitate for a second. With solemn determination, I wrote down my dream school as the first choice. North China Aviation Flight Academy. This time, no one could ever shatter my dream. When I held that acceptance letter bearing my name and photo, I hugged my mom and cried like a child. I finally made it. Through my own hard work, I rightfully pushed open that gateway to boundless opportunities. On the first day of school, my grandfather and mother accompanied me to campus. The campus of Beihua Aviation School was even more magnificent than I had imagined. Rows of brand-new trainer aircraft stood parked on the massive tarmac. Upperclassmen in crisp blue uniforms moved briskly across campus with military bearing. The very air carried the distinctive scent of the open sky. Watching all this, I felt like I was in a dream. "Do you like it here?" Grandpa asked me with a smile. I nodded vigorously. "Yes." "Then study hard." Grandpa patted my shoulder. "When you graduate, I'll get you your own plane." I chuckled. "All right then, I'll be waiting." College life turned out to be even more exciting than I'd imagined. Everyone here has an almost fanatical love for flying. We attended theory classes together, trained on simulators together, and argued passionately over every flight maneuver. Here, I've met many like-minded friends. For the first time, I truly understood what youth really means. I'd almost forgotten the names Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao, until one day, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Li Shan calling, you know. My college roommate, the smoky-eyed girl I once stuffed grape skins into her mouth. Her voice on the phone sounded hesitant and awkward. Su Nian, do you still remember me?" "I remember. I saw the news. Congratulations on getting into such a great school." After a long silence, she finally stammered out the reason for her call. "Actually, there's something I need to tell you. It's about Chen Xiaoxiao. I saw her at a nightclub the other day. She seemed to be working as a hostess there." Hearing the name, Chen Xiaoxiao, didn't stir the slightest ripple in my heart. Whether she's living well or dead in a ditch, none of my business anymore. "Seems she's hit rock bottom," Li Shan added over the phone, her voice dripping with schadenfreude. "Heard from regulars there that she's drowning in debt. Got forced into the trade. That night she got wasted, clinging to some old geezer, sobbing and screaming. I'm not a hostess, I'm an international student." Got slapped so hard she couldn't get up for ages. Serves you right. I gave a non-committal, wanting to drop the subject. Did you call just to say that? Oh, no, not really, Li Shan quickly explained, apparently picking up on my coldness. I wanted to apologize to you. Back in the dorm, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. Only now do I realize how hard it must have been for you back then. Her apology actually sounded quite sincere. It's all in the past, I said calmly. Every grievance has its source, every debt its debtor. Why, Li Shan and her crew were just dumb pawns Chen Xiaoxiao used to do her dirty work. They've learned their lesson, so let bygones be bygones. Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao are the only ones I consider my enemies. After hanging up, I quickly put the matter out of my mind. Chen Xiaoxiao got exactly what she deserved. I've no interest in watching a cornered rat's death throes. I have more important matters to attend to now. After a year of theoretical study and simulation training, I finally experienced my first solo flight. It was a perfect day with crystal clear skies. Wearing my sharp blue flight suit, I walked step by step toward my CJ-6 trainer under the watchful eyes of my instructor. I meticulously inspected every component of the aircraft: wings, landing gear, propeller. Then I slid open the canopy and climbed into the cockpit. Fastened the seatbelt and put on the flight helmet. The moment I gripped the control stick, the entire world fell silent. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heartbeat. Tower, Trainer 057 requesting takeoff. Trainer 057, cleared for takeoff. I took a deep breath and slowly pushed the throttle forward. The engine roared to life. The plane began to taxi down the runway, picking up speed. Faster and faster, I gently pulled back on the control stick. The nose of the aircraft tilted up slightly. The next second, a powerful thrust pushed me back into my seat. I felt my entire body break free from gravity's pull. I was airborne. I'm actually flying. Through the canopy, I watched the city beneath my feet shrink away, with checkerboard patterned fields stretching beyond. In the distance, I saw undulating mountain ranges and ribbon-like rivers winding through the landscape. The entire world unfolded before me in a breathtaking spectacle unlike anything I'd ever witnessed. At this moment, I feel like the master of the sky. 7. All restraints, all pain, all hatred, they all seem trivial and insignificant now. I've finally realized my dream. At long last, I've become the person I aspired to be. I soar freely through the sky, performing maneuvers I've practiced countless times in the simulator, banking, diving, climbing. I feel completely one with this aircraft. Until the coach's voice came through the headset. Sun Yan, excellent work. Prepare for return. Though reluctant to end the flight, I followed orders and began adjusting course for landing. The moment the aircraft's wheels made smooth contact with the runway, I knew my aviation career had officially begun. From that day on, my life took off like a rocket. I aced all my flight training courses with perfect scores. Whether fixed-wing aircraft or helicopters, I could handle them with ease. I even represented our university in the National College Aero Modeling Competition and brought home the championship. I became the brightest star at Beihua Aviation School. After graduation, I didn't hesitate to join the airline under my grandfather's umbrella. I started as a co-pilot. Through professionalism and dedication, I gradually earned everyone's respect and recognition. 5 years later, I finally earned my 4-stripe epaulets, the insignia of a captain. That day, my grandfather and mother came to the airport in person to celebrate with me. My grandfather truly kept his word. He gifted me the world's latest model, a Gulfstream G650 private jet. My initials, SN, were elegantly painted on the fuselage. Standing before that brand new, gorgeous aircraft, I beamed like a child while looking at Grandpa and Mom. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Mom. It's you who made me who I am today. My mother held me in her arms with teary eyes. Of course, silly child. This is all your own hard work paying off. Your mommy's pride and joy. Our family was basking in happiness and joy. The arrival of an uninvited guest shattered this beautiful moment. Nian Nian, no, Captain Su, a hoarse, unfamiliar voice spoke up behind me. I turned around. An elderly sanitation worker with graying hair and weathered features stood a short distance away, gazing at me timidly in his uniform. He was clutching a broom in his hand. He looked vaguely familiar, though I couldn't quite place where I'd seen him before. Then he raised his head, revealing those murky, greedy eyes I'd never forget. My heart sank like a stone. It was him, Su Jiangwo. What's he doing here? Shouldn't he be in prison? Su Jiangwo looked even more aged and wretched than I'd imagined. His back was completely hunched, his face etched with deep wrinkles like crumpled newspaper. The orange sanitation worker's uniform hung on him, looking grimy and worn out, if not for those eyes. I'd have never recognized him as the once ambitious and arrogant Su Jiangwo. "What are you doing here?" I asked coldly, my voice devoid of any emotion. Su Jiangwo rubbed his hands together, forcing a smile uglier than tears. I got early release for good behavior inside. After getting out, couldn't find work, ended up as a janitor at the airport, just scraping by. He made it sound casual, but I knew there was more to the story, with the crimes he committed. There's no way he'd be out this soon. The only explanation is that Grandpa pulled some strings behind the scenes. I turned to look at Grandpa. Grandpa's face still wore that same unreadable, composed expression. "I was the one who got him out," Grandpa said calmly. "Why?" I asked, confused. Letting him rot in prison would be too merciful. Grandfather glanced at Su Jiangwo in the distance, his eyes flashing with cold ruthlessness. My heart skipped a beat. "I'll make him watch with his own eyes as the daughter he once despised rises to glory. Step by step, I'll make him spend the rest of his life repenting for his past folly and malice. I'll force him to live on in endless remorse and envy, writhing in agony. So this is the cruelest revenge of all. Killing a man merely ends his suffering. Breaking someone's spirit is the ultimate punishment." Su Jiangwo clearly heard his grandfather's words too. His body trembled even more violently. He stared at me, at my crisp captain's uniform, then at the brand new luxury private jet behind me. His eyes brimmed with a tumult of emotions, shock, envy, remorse, and a faint trace of pleading. "Nian Nian." He took 2 faltering steps forward, my name rasping from his throat. "Dad, I was wrong. Back then, I was completely out of my mind. Can you ever forgive me, son?" The audacity of him. Expecting my forgiveness, I stared at him like he was some pathetic clown. Silence lingered on the other end of the line. "Forgive you? Sure thing." I smirked and pointed at a trash can nearby. "Get on your knees now, crawl over there, and lick that trash can clean for me. Lick it clean, and I might consider forgiving you." Su Jiangwo's face instantly turned beet red. He never expected me to make such a humiliating demand. His body froze in place, completely paralyzed. Honor and the will to survive waged a desperate battle in his mind. "What? Can't handle it?" I arched an eyebrow, dripping with sarcasm. "If you can't do it, then get the hell out. Don't you dare utter my name with that filthy mouth of yours, and don't you soil my sight or taint the ground beneath me." With that, I turned away without another glance and took my mother's arm. "Mom, Grandpa, let's go. Don't let people like this ruin our good mood." The 3 of us walked straight toward the VIP airport passage without looking back. Behind us came Su Jiangwo's desperate, piercing wails. "Nian Nian, Nian Nian, I was wrong. I swear I was wrong. Give me one more chance. I'm begging you, because I know some people will never deserve forgiveness." My mother's eyes stayed red the entire ride home. "Mom, are you having second thoughts?" I asked softly. My mother shook her head and took my hand. "It's not about being soft-hearted. I was just thinking, if back then I'd been a little braver, a little stronger, maybe you wouldn't have had to suffer so much." I held her hand firmly and looked into her eyes with sincerity. "Mom, this wasn't your fault, and those hardships weren't in vain. They shaped me into the stronger person I am today. So let's not look back anymore. We must keep moving forward." My mother looked at me and finally gave a relieved smile. "Good, our Nian Nian has grown up. From now on, I'll always listen to you, sweetheart." Life seemed to finally return to its rightful peace and beauty. I thought my entanglements with Su Jiangwo and Chen Xiaoxiao would finally come to an end, but little did I know, I'd see Chen Xiaoxiao again just days later, or rather, what I saw was her corpse. She had jumped from the highest river crossing bridge in Jiangcheng. By the time they found her, the body was so waterlogged it was unrecognizable. Among her belongings, the police found an unsent letter addressed to me. The letter contained just one sentence: "Sun Yan, I'll haunt you even as a ghost." The sterile white lights in the police station cast a chilling glow. Staring at the water-stained letter with its blurred handwriting, I felt completely numb inside. "Even as a ghost, you won't let me go. Chen Xiaoxiao, you probably still don't realize, I am the vengeful spirit that crawled back from hell, Miss Su." Our investigation shows Chen Xiaoxiao met with Su Jiangwo before her suicide. Officer Zhang, who was handling the case, handed me a written statement. Su Jiangwo claimed that Chen Xiaoxiao approached him demanding a large sum of money to start fresh abroad. When Su couldn't produce the money, they had a heated argument. Chen cursed him as worthless, saying she must have been blind to ever believe he could help her get revenge or provide a better life, and then, she left. We suspect she must have been driven to utter despair, with no way out, which led her to take her own life. I glanced at the interrogation record and let out a cold laugh. It's a classic case of thieves falling out. The venomous, father and daughter, pair ultimately turned against each other. What a perfect irony. This letter should be handed to you as per protocol, Officer Zhang said, placing it in an evidence bag before offering it to me. I didn't take it. Burn it, I said flatly. I don't want anything of hers to remain in my world. Officer Zhang paused for a moment, then nodded, understood. Stepping out of the police station, the sunlight felt blindingly bright. I looked up at the vast blue sky stretching above me. Several planes roared overhead, leaving white contrails in their wake. Suddenly, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Chen Xiaoxiao's death weighed on my heart like the final, heaviest stone. Now, that stone has finally been lifted completely. All the hatred and entanglements dissipated with her passing, like mist under the sun. From this day forward, my world holds only blue skies, white clouds, and the family who loves me. My life has indeed been getting better and better, just as I'd hoped. I became the youngest and most accomplished female pilot at the company. I've flown to every corner of the world. I've watched the sunset under the Eiffel Tower in Paris. I chased the northern lights under Iceland's starry sky. I witnessed the great migration across Kenya's savannah. The world unfolded its most breathtaking vistas beneath my feet. Grandpa remains in robust health. He's handed over all company operations to professional managers. Now he and my mom enjoy a carefree retired life, traveling to scenic spots. They often travel around the world on flights piloted by me. Every time, I'd make an announcement from the cockpit to say, "Dear Mr. Li Zhenhua and Ms. Li Hui, welcome aboard this flight. I'm your captain, Sun Yan. It's my honor to be the one flying my dearest family members today." Every time, my mother would beam like a child in the cabin, and Grandpa would proudly tell those around him, "See that, the one flying the plane, that's my granddaughter." Days like these are truly wonderful, so wonderful that I nearly forgot all those unbearable memories from the past. I'm operating a flight from Jiangxing to the capital. As passengers boarded, I stood by the cockpit door as usual to greet them. Then I spotted him, Su Jiangwo. He'd aged considerably since our last meeting. His hair had turned completely white. His back was even more hunched. Clad in an ill-fitting cheap suit and carrying a battered suitcase, he stood out awkwardly among the economy-class passengers. Our eyes met across the room. He froze at the sight of me, his eyes wide with terror and panic. Instinctively, he turned to flee. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" My voice remained calm and professional, completely devoid of emotion, his hands trembling. He pulled out a crumpled boarding pass from his pocket. I took it and glanced at the details. "Mr. Su Jiangwo, welcome aboard." I returned the boarding pass to him with a courteous, "After you," gesture. He walked past me with his head down, like a child who'd done something wrong. Not another word was exchanged between us the entire time. The plane took off right on schedule. Now I finally understand. At 10,000 meters, I steadily piloted the aircraft through the cockpit window. I could see the magnificent landscape unfolding below. A profound serenity filled my heart. I knew Su Jiangwo was sitting right behind me in that cramped economy class seat. His life had been permanently anchored to the ground. My life is just beginning to soar. Between us lies an insurmountable chasm 10,000 meters high. Perhaps this is the best ending we could hope for. The plane touched down smoothly at Beijing Capital International Airport. Passengers began disembarking one after another. I stood by the cabin door, bidding farewell to each passenger. Su Jiangwo was the last to exit the aircraft. He stopped right in front of me. He looked up and gave me a long, penetrating stare. Then he bowed deeply at a perfect 90-degree angle. I remained silent, simply watching him quietly, straightening up without another glance. He turned away, dragging his battered suitcase as his hunched figure disappeared into the bustling crowd at the end of the boarding bridge. Watching his retreating figure, I suddenly felt at peace. All the hatred vanished into thin air at that very moment. I no longer hate him, because he's simply not worth it anymore. I turned around and walked back into the empty cockpit. Sitting in the captain's seat, I gazed at the vast expanse of sky that belonged to me beyond the window. I picked up the microphone and softly began humming a tune. It was the song my mother used to sing to me when I was little. I want to soar through the sky, standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun. The world awaits my transformation. The melody echoes through the empty cockpit. Beyond the window, a brand new sun rises steadily from the horizon. I know the golden age meant for me has finally arrived. Story 2. When I received my mother's call. I was standing punished under the scorching sun by the instructor. Run, run, came my mother's frantic screams through the phone. In 2 hours, one of your instructors will turn into a zombie, and the whole school will be overrun. At first, I didn't believe it. It sounded too far-fetched, but my mother's trembling voice made me panic. Later, I learned that everything my mom said was true. She had fallen into a bizarre cycle of rebirth. She was reborn 2 hours before the zombie outbreak. After hanging up the phone, she transferred 100,000 yuan to me, instructing me to stock up on at least 2 months' worth of supplies within 2 hours and then lock the doors and windows and hide. Although my family was fairly well off, 100,000 yuan was not a small amount. My mother was serious. You worthless thing. The instructor came over, fuming. Did I tell you to stand here as punishment or to make phone calls? Of all the classes I've taught, I've never seen a student as undisciplined as you, so fond of making calls. Fine, continue standing, don't think about leaving unless you complete the 2 hours. I knew he was targeting me. With so many in the class, everyone would slack off when he wasn't looking, but he always singled me out for scolding. I've always been soft-hearted. I've been like this since I was little. My mom even took me to a psychologist to make me tougher, only to confirm that I had a people-pleasing personality. I always subconsciously tried to please others, neglecting myself. Whenever I was wronged, I would just endure it silently, but I didn't understand why. The more I behaved this way, the more I was targeted. The last time I was targeted was because someone in the neighboring class made a fool of themselves, and everyone laughed, including me. The instructor kicked me in the shin, demanding, "Who allowed you to laugh without reporting first?" Initially, I really didn't know what I had done to offend him, until I later saw my bullying roommate Scarlett getting close to him. Then I understood everything. I glanced at the time. It was exactly 2 p.m. Seeing my expression, the instructor kicked my shin as usual, his tone more malicious. "Try looking around again. Stand properly." Under the shade of a tree, Scarlett and a few other classmates were eating ice cream, eagerly watching the scene with grins, but no one expected that this time. After taking a deep breath, I didn't just swallow the insult. Instead, I kicked back, causing the instructor to howl in pain as he clutched his ankle and hopped around. "Stupid instructor, I'm done playing with you." After leaving those words behind, I didn't waste any more time and ran off as if my life depended on it. Scarlett rushed up, supporting the instructor, glaring at my retreating figure and yelling, "Evelyn, how dare you hit the instructor? You must be crazy. See if you ever come back to us, or you're dead. I'm telling you, who cares? In 2 hours, it's questionable whether anyone here will still be alive." Without turning back, I was frantically planning in my mind. With only 2 hours, I definitely couldn't go back to the dorm. Out of 6 people, 5 were bullying and isolating me. Luckily, because of the bullying, I had been looking for a rental since the second day of military training and had just found a suitable apartment not far from the university yesterday. It was a loft on the 13th floor, 2 stories high, with a monthly rent of 1,500, which I had rented for a semester. I never thought it would come in so handy. Being on the 13th floor might make moving supplies a bit challenging, as going up and down could waste some time. Every second now was crucial for survival. I couldn't help but breathe faster as I walked and took out my phone. No matter, I decided to first place some orders on a delivery app. I was cautious about ordering too much, fearing it might draw attention, since the apartment building had only one main entrance with security always present. Frequently moving a lot of supplies might be too conspicuous, especially since I would be spending the coming days alone. With these thoughts in mind, I judiciously ordered some vegetables, eggs, and meat. Actually, I'm not good at cooking and I don't really have a sense of measurements. I just randomly pick out items. The vegetables cost me over 300, and various meats almost 600. Though I can't cook, I still buy the groceries, as having supplies gives a sense of security. I ordered a whole box of cold medicine, anti-inflammatory drugs, bandages, and iodine online. While placing these online orders, I rushed into the campus supermarket and emptied the shelves of all the ready-to-eat foods, grabbing about 50 packets of instant noodles and 50 other quick meals until my basket was full. I glanced around and my eyes landed on some suitcases for sale. Unusually for me, I didn't even check the prices before picking up 2 of the largest suitcases and heading to the checkout to continue filling them with more supplies. I managed to pack about a month's worth of ready-to-eat food and about 30 bottles of 1.5-liter water into one suitcase. These items are essentials, and I had to drag them back to my apartment no matter what, as they would be my sustenance for the next 2 months. Seeing the mountain of instant food at the checkout, the cashier blinked and asked, "Are you taking all these?" My heart pounded and sweat covered my forehead as I nodded. "Please hurry up with the checkout, I'm in a rush." Although I said that, the cashier was scanning each item slowly. Just then, the supermarket door opened and a group of girls walked in chatting. "Does applying ice water really help?" "Of course it does. Didn't you see how swollen the instructor's ankle was?" Evelyn really kicked hard. That was quite vicious. Suddenly, they stopped and all turned to look at me at the checkout. Scarlett squinted her eyes. "Evelyn," I ignored her, focusing on packing my instant noodles, a large bag of steamed buns, and chili sauce into the suitcase. Checking the time, it was already 2:20 p.m., and I could still make at least 2 more trips with these large suitcases. But here, in less than 100 minutes, this place would become a living hell. Scarlett walked up with her arms crossed, sneering at the convenience food. "Where are you fleeing to with all this? $2.50 per packet for the noodles." Buying so many, it made sense, though. $2.50 wouldn't even buy a dish in the school cafeteria. But it could buy enough noodles to fill you up. How pathetic, seeing that I ignored her. I carefully packed the food and zipped up the suitcase. My roommates, seeing this, mocked. Some people probably have never eaten anything good in their lives, treating these things like treasures. It's quite pitiful to see, but inside, I scoffed lightly. "Laugh all you want, even louder. You won't believe that in a month, you'll be fighting bloody battles and kneeling for these very cheap foods." Part 2. When I reached the apartment entrance with the 2 large suitcases at 2:40 p.m. It was just my luck that both elevators were stuck on higher floors and not moving. Suddenly, a voice from behind startled me. "Why are you dragging such big luggage by yourself?" I jumped and turned around to see a bald man in his 50s. He was dressed in a security uniform, not very tall, with dark skin, and kept sizing me up with his hands behind his back. His eyes were small but sharp, squinting slightly as he casually asked, "Young lady, what have you got in there? Need any help?" "I just moved here with some clothes and daily necessities," I said, shifting my suitcase to the side. "No need, I can manage on my own." Fortunately, the elevator arrived just in time, and I hurriedly dragged my luggage inside, only to find that the elderly security guard had followed me in. In the cramped space of the elevator, I could feel his gaze fixed intently on me from behind. I turned to him. "Which floor are you going to?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Don't mind me." I fell silent and pressed the elevator button. I was renting an apartment on the 13th floor, but to be cautious, I pressed the button for the 10th floor first. After reaching the 10th floor, I stepped out with my suitcase and made sure the old man didn't follow. Then, I switched to another elevator to reach the 13th floor. As soon as I unlocked the door and entered, I dumped everything out of my suitcase. Coincidentally, the food delivery arrived at that moment, and the entrance was cluttered with packages of various sizes. I didn't bother to tidy up. I just closed the suitcase and continued to bring supplies from the convenience store at the entrance of the apartment. After 2 more trips and checking the time, there were only 25 minutes left until the zombie outbreak. I could have made another trip, but I didn't want to take the risk. Looking at the pile of supplies that had amassed into a small mountain, I decided it was enough. These supplies would last a girl like me not just 2 months, but even half a year. Rice, flour, and oil, each in a large container. I had stocked up 100 packs of instant noodles, even in different flavors, 20 self-heating hot pots, 15 bags of hot and sour noodles, and 10 packs each of dumplings and wontons. In addition, there were various snacks like sausages and chips. For drinks, not only did I have mineral water, but I also stocked up on large bottles of iced tea, cola, and Sprite, each in 1-liter sizes. Vegetables and meats filled the refrigerator. I had stocked up 3 months' worth of feminine hygiene products. Just to be safe, I got 5 chargers and 10 power banks. Having watched some disaster movies, I knew zombies were particularly sensitive to noise. I had lost an earphone, so I made sure to buy 2 more at the convenience store. Everything was ready. I double-locked the door and barricaded it with the coffee table from the living room. Then, I turned off the living room lights and drew the curtains, collapsing exhaustedly on the sofa. Looking at my supplies, I couldn't help but feel a liberating sense of surviving a catastrophe. During this time, my mom had sent several voice messages that I hadn't answered. Now, I finally had time to respond to her on Instagram. I learned that my parents had also prepared their supplies and secured their home, quietly waiting for 3 o'clock to arrive. Although we were in different cities and couldn't be together, knowing that we were each in a safe and well-supplied environment brought me some peace of mind. I chatted with my parents in our family group, lifting the curtain slightly to peek outside. From my 13th floor apartment, I could see the school playground where students were dispersing, laughing and chatting, oblivious to the impending nightmare. I closed the family chat and glanced at my class group, only to discover that I had unwittingly become notorious. From the school forum to social media and confession walls, there was a flood of criticism and spam about me. Although the posts were anonymous, I knew all too well that Scarlett was behind them. From the first day of room assignments at the start of the school year, she had been like a nightmare to me. Scarlett, with her stunning looks, was declared the class beauty just a week into military training, her arrogance deeply ingrained. She thought my quietness was a psychological defect and started off by making fun of me, which only escalated over time. The incident that struck me most was one time in the cafeteria when she saw me meticulously cleaning my plate with every spoonful. She scoffed and said, "My goodness, you ate so cleanly that the plate doesn't even need washing. No wonder you're as fat as a pig." Seriously, if I were as fat as you, I'd rather die. Am I really fat? I'm 165 centimeters tall and weigh 105 pounds. While I'm not exactly skinny, calling me as fat as a pig is a bit much. I really don't understand Scarlett and her friends, who seem to take pride in not finishing their food and wasting as much as possible. In the past, my people-pleasing personality always made me tolerate her sarcasm, and I was subconsciously afraid of ruining relationships with others. But now, suddenly, a scream from downstairs interrupted my thoughts. I looked out and saw chaos on the school playground. Everyone was screaming and running away, some with their heads tilted at odd angles, growling and roaring strangely. Looking at the time, the minute hand was pointed right at 3:50. What's going on? Could the zombie outbreak have started early? I broke out in a cold sweat. Thankfully, I hadn't been greedy for more supplies. If I had gone downstairs at 3:35 to move a third batch of supplies, whether I could have come back unscathed would be questionable. The bedroom, with the curtains drawn, was somewhat dim. The quiet around me starkly contrasted with the panic and fleeing downstairs. The spread of the zombies was much faster than I had anticipated. The streets were already filled with many infected people, their necks crooked, faces deathly pale, bodies covered in blood, seemingly oblivious to pain, mindlessly attacking and biting, their numbers growing. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, the gore was still unsettling. I quietly closed the curtains and grabbed a bottle of milk tea, taking a few sips to calm my nerves. Soon after, running and screaming could also be heard in the apartment corridor. I looked at my securely locked door and the coffee table barricading it, knowing that as long as I stayed silent and didn't open the door, I wouldn't attract the zombies. But the screams outside were heart-wrenching. "Open the door. Please open it." The voice sounded like a girl about my age, probably another student who lived off campus. "Dylan, I know you're in there. I just went out to buy some things." The zombies hadn't caught up when I came up. "Please, just crack the door open and let me in. I'm begging you. Didn't you say you loved me? Didn't you promise just yesterday that we would get married after graduation? Please open the door, please." The girl's cries of despair sounded especially bleak in these chaotic times. I sighed, sensing that this was a couple. The girl had gone out to buy something, and the guy had locked the door after discovering the zombie outbreak. I felt a pang of sympathy. My inherently soft nature and my people-pleasing personality made me hesitate about whether to open a door of life for this girl. Just as she said, the zombies hadn't spread to this floor yet. If I wanted to, opening the door in front of me would be her lifeline. Just then, my phone screen lit up, and I saw a message from my mom. "Do not open the door." I was shocked. Had my mom been watching through the camera? Otherwise, how would she know I was hesitating to open the door for that helpless girl outside? My mom knew I had always been kind-hearted and easily bullied, but you must know, human hearts are far more terrifying than you think. And in times of chaos, there is no room for kindness. You think that girl outside is pitiful, right? You believe in empathy, but you don't know that in the end, to save herself, that girl might push you into a horde of zombies. My daughter, that's how you could end up dying. Reading this, my forehead was covered in a dense sweat, and I froze, unable to move. A chill crept up inside me. The very next second, without any hesitation, I retreated back into my bedroom. Plugging headphones into my phone, I stuffed one into my ear. pulled the covers over my head, and started watching Crayon Shin-chan. The outside screams and cries for help no longer had anything to do with me. All I wanted now was to ensure my own safety and eventually reunite with my family unharmed, just as I had speculated. As long as I had sufficient supplies, kept the curtains tightly closed, and made no noise, the zombies would not discover me, much less find me here. I spent the first day safe and sound, regularly sharing updates and emotions with my parents in our family chat, encouraging each other with the goal of eventually reuniting safely. My phone also began to push some news designed to calm the public. The nation will not abandon any of its people who are fleeing. Please trust in our country. Light will surely come, though I didn't know when. Receiving such news made my heart settle somewhat. The fourth day of the zombie outbreak. The streets were a gray haze, roamed by a horde of the walking dead. Not a single living person was in sight, and the whole city had fallen into a deathly silence. Many people had run out of supplies. Numerous drones randomly dropped food from the sky, each landing attracting countless zombies who roared and bared their teeth. But who would dare to actually go out and pick up supplies? Some, unable to withstand hunger, crept out stealthily to gather food from the streets, only to be carelessly overwhelmed by hundreds of zombies, ending up not just infected, but nearly annihilated. I feared that in a few days the internet would cut out, even electricity might fail, so I charged up 10 power banks and downloaded some movies, just in case I really had to face the hardship of passing time without the internet. A week into the zombie outbreak, my supplies were still plentiful, providing me the greatest sense of security. In the afternoon, I received a message in a group chat. Opening it, it was surprisingly from my dorm group. Someone had tagged me asking, "Are you still there, Scarlett? Where are you hiding? Haven't seen you back at the dorm. Do you still have food?" I briefly scanned the message, then tossed my phone aside, not planning on replying. About 40 minutes later, the phone screen lit up again with several more tags from the same person. "Scarlett, Scarlett." Pretending not to see, "Speak up, Scarlett. I know you have food. I saw you at the school supermarket right before the outbreak. You were stocking up 2 whole suitcases of food. Scarlett, don't play dead. Sharing some food with us won't kill you, will it, Evelyn? It's not good to be so selfish. Do you know how many days it's been since we last had anything to eat?" Yes, I knew. It was impossible for the dorm to have much in the way of supplies. I guessed Scarlett and the others were probably eating leftover food from a few days ago, or some snacks they usually bought. Now, after 7 days, with 5 people in the dorm, they had likely run out. Ironically, I had planned to travel to the Great Northwest with my parents on October 1st, so I had purchased a drone early, intending to capture the beautiful landscapes from above. The drone had arrived less than a week ago, and I hadn't even unpacked it yet. It was just sitting on the coffee table. If I wanted, I could easily attach some lightweight food to the drone and, taking advantage of the cover of darkness and the zombies' impaired vision, send some food to Scarlett and the others. If I were still the person I used to be, I would have done everything possible to help them. But now, after just a few days of apocalypse, having witnessed the coldness of human nature, I suddenly saw things differently. I used to think I was just a naive and gullible person, the epitome of a saintly martyr. Scarlett took advantage of my soft nature and bullied me for so long. If she came to me now begging for food, I might still consider it. But now, what is she even trying to pull? I took out a piece of bread, bit into it, and snapped a photo, which I posted in the group chat with the caption, "Delicious." Yes, that was intentional. Soon after, Scarlett and the others exploded. "Scarlett, we're all in the dorm right now. Hurry up and bring your food over so we can meet up." I replied with just one word. "No, Scarlett, what did you say? Say that again, Evelyn. I'm telling you to bring your food and meet up with us now." Immediately, seeing that I wasn't replying anymore, the other roommates started changing their tune from supporting Scarlett to speaking more kindly. "Evelyn, we don't mean anything by it, but it's not safe for you to be outside alone with the zombies around. Yeah, come meet up with us. If there's any trouble, we can face it together." I just listened at the door. "There are no zombies near our dorm, Evelyn, come quickly. There's strength in numbers." "Scarlett, enough. Can you guys have a little dignity? Didn't we survive just fine those days we dieted and didn't eat for a week? What difference does it make whether she's with us or not?" "Evelyn, don't think you're something special just because you have some food. I don't care about that now. Truly, you're giving yourself too much credit. It serves you right to have no friends." I scoffed coldly, not angry, and didn't reply. Instead, I just set the group chat to Do Not Disturb and turned off my phone screen. As night fell, zombies, whose vision is poor, move much slower. I've gotten used to not turning on the lights or drawing the curtains at night, only occasionally peeking through the gaps in the curtains to look at the outside world, thankfully. There's still internet. Chatting daily with my parents to confirm our safety is what sustains me. Not feeling hungry in the evening, I grabbed a Coke and chatted with my parents in our family group chat, casually bringing up the dorm situation. Mom asked, "Do you have drones there? Are you going to send them food?" I thought for a moment. No. Mom sent a happy emoji. That's my girl, changing for the better. You shouldn't. Remember that one time when you sent them supplies and ended up attracting zombies to the apartment? Honestly, I'm still not fully adjusted to my mom's idea of me having reincarnated multiple times due to my overly altruistic nature. It's the 8th day since the apocalypse began. Books say people can survive a week without food at most. Beyond that, it's dangerous. Scarlett, who was so arrogant in the chat yesterday, has now toned down her arrogance significantly due to hunger. Such a proud person, now begging me desperately for a bite to eat. Where are you hiding? If it's close to the dorm, we can send someone to get the food. Evelyn, I know I've been too much in the past. Please don't stoop to my level, okay? Just give us 5 packs of instant noodles. No, 3 will do. I'm begging you. Alright, if you're still upset, I'll kneel down and beg. We're really going to starve to death. We're all classmates. Do you really want to watch us die? I was wrong. It was all my fault. You can curse me, insult me, return all the hurt I caused you, just as long as you give me something to eat. Evelyn, please, I really can't take it anymore. Seeing these messages from Scarlett, I stood up and pulled a packet of instant noodles from the living room. Turning around, I walked into the kitchen to boil some water for the noodles. While waiting for the water to boil, I decisively left the dormitory group chat without any hesitation. Day 9 of the zombie outbreak. My worst fear finally came true. The internet went down, and there was a complete loss of water and power, although losing water and power was manageable, since I had stored enough drinking water and filled every bucket with tap water. For electricity, I didn't have time to buy solar panels. I could only prepare as many fully charged power banks as possible, but the real problem was the loss of internet connection. I couldn't receive any news from the outside world nor chat daily with my parents to keep their spirits up. The fear of being disconnected from the world suddenly felt more terrifying than the zombies outside. But what could I do? I had to keep my spirits up. My mom said that the zombie situation would be under control in 2 months, and it had been nearly 10 days already. I had downloaded plenty of videos to keep myself entertained, but with only 10 power banks. I allowed myself just 2 hours of phone time each day. Mostly, I would just watch pre-downloaded episodes of Crayon Shin-chan or read novels. The rest of the time, I drifted around the house like a ghost with nothing to do. On one of these aimless days, I noticed an old calligraphy book I had used to prop up a table leg. I pulled it out and seriously practiced writing a couple of pages. Day 12 of the outbreak. I wished I could be with my parents right now. Being confined at home with them would surely be much happier than being alone. Staying alive and reuniting with my parents became my sole focus. These past few days without internet and power, I was nearly going insane. If not for the still moving hands on my watch, I would have lost all sense of time. The biggest activity now was, by nightfall, to peek through the curtains to see outside. It had been nearly 2 weeks since the outbreak began. People's initial fear of zombies had gradually turned into daring ventures out in small groups to scavenge for supplies. Some agile individuals could even manage a few zombies, then quickly escape. Like now, I saw a man in his 30s, tall and sturdy, with a bandage on his arm, hiding behind an SUV, cautiously surveying the zombies ahead. Terrifyingly, a zombie was quietly standing by a pillar right behind him, only about 10 meters away. I covered my mouth, internally screaming, "Turn around. Look, there's a zombie right behind you, run." Finally, in the quiet of the night, a scream of terror came from downstairs, from behind the curtains of my 13th floor window. I watched the man desperately fighting the zombie, feeling somewhat dazed. The thrill was similar to the first time I watched a zombie movie, but now, the feelings were entirely different. It was like the stories from the movies had leapt into reality, and it was far more intense and terrifying. Who would risk going out unless absolutely necessary because of hunger? I sighed and quietly closed the curtains. Day 16 of the outbreak. Today, the weather was exceptionally good. The long-lost sunlight made the city look particularly bright. If not for the empty streets and the debris everywhere, I might have thought that the recent days were just a nightmare. It was mid-September now, and the temperature was starting to drop. I felt somewhat relieved that the zombie outbreak didn't happen during the peak of summer. As someone who can't stand the heat and relies on air conditioning, I would have probably been miserable. As usual, after dark, I sat by the bay window, this time a bit bolder, opening the window slightly to let in some fresh air. My apartment on the 13th floor felt safe, and perhaps it was just my perception, but it seemed like the zombies were starting to move away from this area. Much fewer than in the first 3 days of the outbreak, but occasionally, my gaze would sweep over the empty streets. Seeing a zombie suddenly popping out from nowhere is still a startling experience. As I was staring out the window, lost in thought, I suddenly noticed a drone flying straight towards me. This really took me by surprise, and instinctively, I thought about closing the window, until I saw a girl about my age carefully waving at me from the building across, signaling me to bring the drone inside. I then noticed a note attached to the drone, with a strangely rapid heartbeat. I opened the window, peeled the note off the drone, and quickly closed the curtains like a thief before I began to read it. Elegant handwriting came into view. "Hello, I'm your neighbor from across, living on the 15th floor. You live alone, right? Without the internet, I'm about to go crazy." At first, I thought it was my imagination seeing the curtains move in the 13th floor apartment across at night. But to find there's actually someone there made me so happy. "Can we be friends? My name is Abigail. What's yours?" This is my first time communicating with someone in this way, in such a context, through writing, but I must admit, I'm both excited and happy. After all, this is my first contact with someone other than myself since the internet went down. Immediately, I rushed to my desk, tore off a piece of paper, and quickly wrote back to the girl, "My name is Evelyn, and I'm a freshman." Over the following days, Abigail and I kept exchanging notes. Gradually, what started as a few lines turned into full-page conversations. We talked about everything from celebrity gossip to academic topics, and even got to know each other's romantic histories quite well. I told her I've been perennially single, a forever alone type, and Abigail responded, "Then it's meant to be that we become best buddies." As single folk seem to attract each other, through these days of communicating by notes. I learned Abigail is also a freshman and, to my surprise, she's also majoring in photography. I'm in Section 1, and she's in Section 2. This incredible coincidence brought us even closer, and we've agreed that if we get through this, on the day the zombie outbreak is finally under control, we'll rent a place together and talk all night in person. I'm really curious how Abigail also managed to stock up so much beforehand. She started hoarding a week in advance, and from her description, except for her sleeping area, her place is filled with supplies, leaving just a narrow passage to walk through. I was impressed and asked how she thought to stock up so much in advance. "Abigail, what if I told you I was reborn? Would you believe me?" Reading this line from Abigail, no exaggeration, gave me goosebumps, feeling how mysterious fate can be. Abigail then asked, "Do you have enough supplies? If you're running low on food, let me know, and I'll send some over with the drone." "Evelyn, we will definitely make it until we see the light of day again, and then we'll be best friends." Best friends. It's truly a beautiful word. This is probably the first time since the apocalypse began that I've felt warmth from someone other than my parents. In these times, when supplies are so precious, I felt truly happy knowing Abigail was willing to share hers with me. It's been 30 days since the zombie outbreak. Tonight, the moonlight is gentle. Abigail and I cleverly used drones to tie long strings between our windows so that even if the drones run out of power, we can still send notes by pulling the strings. In the bright moonlight, I lay on the windowsill and slowly wrote on a clean sheet of paper, "Abigail, I miss my mom and dad. Today, like any other day, I woke up feeling a bit dizzy. It's already October." I shivered from the cold. A sense of dread washed over me, prompting me to go downstairs to the living room where I dug out a thermometer to check my temperature. It read 39.9 degrees Celsius. I rarely ever had such a high fever, and to have one during these chaotic times was particularly alarming. Fortunately, I had some fever-reducing medicine prepared in advance and quickly took a dose. With no appetite for food, I drank some water and then moved to the windowsill. Exchanging notes with Abigail had become a daily routine. I wrote her a note saying I was feeling unwell and might need extra sleep before heading back upstairs to my bedroom. I put on more clothes, even my winter down jacket, and crawled under a thick blanket to get some more rest. When I woke up again, it was already dark. I was drenched in sweat and felt no better, rather more weakened. I fumbled for the thermometer and checked again. Now it was nearly 40 degrees. Terrified, I increased the dosage of my medicine. The fever waxed and waned for nearly 3 days before finally showing signs of improvement. Today, the fever had subsided, but I was still left with a stuffy nose and a sore throat. After taking my medicine, I finally felt well enough to approach the windowsill. Lifting a corner of the curtain, I saw a pile of notes stacked up at the door, almost forming a small mountain. I quickly opened the window to bring the notes inside and discovered they were all from Abigail, expressing her concern. Looking up, I saw Abigail at her windowsill. She immediately passed me a note she had just written. "Are you feeling better? I've been by this window for 3 days. You finally showed up. I almost thought the zombies had gotten you." I was astonished to learn that Abigail had been there all this time for me. Feeling both guilty and touched, I quickly wrote back, "My fever has gone down, and I'm feeling much better now. Sorry to have worried you these past few days. It's good you're okay. By the way, did you hear what they were announcing on the loudspeakers?" I replied, confused. What loudspeaker? Perhaps due to my weakened state, I had been completely out of the loop. Abigail explained, "A few days ago, the school's loudspeaker announced that survivors could head to a base near the high-speed train station. If they pass the checks at the entrance confirming they are not infected, they can enter. The base is said to be safe and even provides daily meals and internet access. Do you want to go?" The high-speed train station, that's nearly half an hour's drive from here. We had no transport, and with enough supplies, it seemed wiser to stay put in our own home. As long as we didn't venture out, we wouldn't attract zombies. After sharing my thoughts with Abigail, she agreed, and we both decided to stay where we were. Clearly, other survivors were getting restless. Normally, people might stock up on supplies, but it had been almost 30 days. Rather than passively waiting to die, they seemed ready to take a chance. I had seen many trying to escape by car under the cover of darkness. Some were lucky enough to get away smoothly, while others were spotted by zombies before they could even get in the car and were turned on the spot. Day 60 of the zombie outbreak. It had been over a month since I last contacted my parents. I wondered how they were doing. This fear of the unknown always seemed to magnify at night. Why? If it's been 2 months already, initially, my mother told me that the zombie situation would be under control after 2 months, but now, I see no such possibility of improvement. Could it be that the storyline of this life has changed? It's not impossible, especially since the zombie outbreak started 10 minutes earlier this time around. Where does the end truly lie? Day 90 of the zombie outbreak. 3 months have flown by. I still have plenty of supplies, having consumed only about half. However, I had only stockpiled 3 months' worth of sanitary pads for women. Fortunately, Abigail generously sent me several large bags using a drone. I sent back several bags of Hidalgo tomato beef vermicelli to Abigail. She mentioned that she had casually picked this flavor and didn't expect it to be so delicious. Now that she has finished them, she craves more. Coincidentally, I also love this flavor. I had 3 boxes left at home and gave her 2, keeping one for myself. It's hard to imagine that Abigail and I could become such close friends in these apocalyptic times, syncing up everything from unspoken understandings to tastes and fundamental beliefs. Day 100 of the zombie outbreak. The weather has turned chilly, and it's already mid-November, almost a semester has passed. And it's hard to believe that our survival from the apocalypse started during our school's military training. Time has been tough but has unexpectedly flown by. The evenings have grown increasingly silent around here, making me wonder how many others, besides Abigail and me, have survived in these buildings. The streets are desolate, with autumn winds swirling fallen leaves, and even zombies have become a rare sight. Day 120 of the zombie outbreak. Today, I made a significant discovery. I saw some men in camouflage uniforms, some even in tanks and armored vehicles, eliminating many wandering zombies downstairs. Maybe it's because I was so moved, but seeing them reminded me of a saying online: there will always be someone who will carry the burden for you. For some reason, seeing those in camouflage infused me with strength, and I started to believe more than ever that the day we see the light again is drawing nearer. Day 150 of the zombie outbreak. The new year is fast approaching, and this is no illusion. There truly are fewer zombies now, but the day of complete eradication has not yet arrived. Police officers, now seemingly unafraid of zombies, patrol the streets, holsters at their waists. Abigail had prepared a radio before the apocalypse, and occasionally, we catch news from the outside. I've heard that a vaccine is now in development, and lifting the lockdown finally seems hopeful. Occasionally, Pedestrians wrapped in thick clothes survey their surroundings cautiously before stepping out, only to be quickly sent back by the police. If they encounter zombies, they are dealt with swiftly. One evening, someone gently knocked on my door, startling me like a frightened rabbit. I turned sharply towards the tightly closed door. Just then, a voice at the doorway whispered, "Honey, it's us." I could hardly believe my ears. I scrambled to the door, my voice trembling as I called out, "Mom, Dad." Indeed, it was my parents. I frantically moved the coffee table aside and flung the door open. Greeting me were two faces, aged and worn but incredibly familiar. I burst into tears. After letting my parents in, I held them and cried for a long time, unwilling to let go. All my pretenses fell away in front of them, leaving only the deepest trust and reassurance. My mother was crying too, continually patting my shoulder and examining me. "Let me look at you, not bad at all. You look a bit chubbier than the last time I saw you. It seems our daughter hasn't gone hungry these past few months." My father also wiped away tears but teased, patting my head, all right, such a big kid and still crying so much." After sitting down on the sofa, I looked at my parents' white-tinged hair. My voice choked up, "Mom, Dad, you've both lost weight." Both had noticeably thinned down. What on earth had happened? "My dear, it's not important. What matters is that we've made it through, and now our family is finally together." I refused to let my parents dismiss the situation with just a few sentences, insisting that they tell me the truth. It turned out that a few hours before the zombie outbreak, my parents had already boarded a high-speed train to my city. 10 minutes after the train stopped, the zombie outbreak began on a large scale. I couldn't help covering my mouth in shock. "So, you mean to say you arrived in my city before the outbreak, and you've been living here all these months?" They had previously lied to me, saying they had stockpiled plenty of supplies back home and were living comfortably. "At first, your mom and I were in despair, but after your mom went through several cycles of revival, waking up on the train each time, we resigned ourselves to our fate. It didn't matter what happened to us, as long as you had the chance to prepare and hide supplies 2 months in advance. So, that's why. Why didn't you tell me the truth from the start? Where have you been hiding these months? My child, if we had told you the reality, would you have been able to stay calm? Could you have carried on peacefully these days?" Actually, it wasn't much. Right after we got off the train, we ran without anyone noticing, made it out in 5 minutes, and managed to stock up on some food from a convenience store before hiding in a storage room at the train station. It was a brilliant hiding spot your mom found after many cycles of revival. It's remote and the door is very sturdy because of the small space. Whenever your mom and I felt like we couldn't bear it anymore, we just thought about how persevering a bit longer would allow us to see our precious daughter and be reunited as a family. No matter how tough, we could withstand it. Seeing my expression change continuously, my mom quickly added, "Don't worry, darling. It was just tough during the previous month." Later, when a base was established next to the train station, your dad and I figured out a way to avoid the zombies and sneak into the base. "But you both have lost so much weight." Holding back tears, I couldn't speak for a while. Finally, I stood up. "Mom, Dad, I'll get you some food." While tearing open the package of frozen dumplings, I wiped away my tears. I didn't want to cry, but the tears just wouldn't stop. I never knew how much my parents had suffered these months, but they chose not to tell me anything to keep me from worrying. Since a few days ago, electricity and water supply had gradually been restored. I cooked the dumplings on an induction cooker and served them, 2 full plates. My parents called me to join them, and I sat down naturally. The dumplings were steaming hot, and sitting around the dining table with my family felt as surreal as a dream. Looking at the time, it was already past midnight. Today was New Year's Day. Even though the outside world is still harsh, I felt this was the happiest New Year I've ever had. Day 150 since the zombie outbreak. These days, I've gotten used to staying in this small 30-something square meter place with my parents. They sleep in the upstairs master bedroom, and I sleep on the living room sofa. At first, my dad didn't agree, insisting that I sleep upstairs with my mom, but after I firmly refused, he reluctantly agreed. The days spent reunited as a family made even the apocalyptic times bearable. We still seldom go outside, although the zombies seem to be under control. Until the day the country declares it's all clear, there's always the risk of infection. I still exchange notes with Abigail every day. She was very envious when she learned that my parents risked their lives to come find me. I don't know why, but I've never heard her mention her own parents, and I didn't ask. Today marks the 170th day since the outbreak of zombies. Spring has now begun, the basic water and electricity networks have been fully restored, and aside from the closures and quarantines, everything seems just like it was before. That day, as I was helping my mom prepare food and my dad was watering a nearly dead cactus, cheers suddenly erupted outside. What happened? My mom and I looked at each other and almost simultaneously pulled out our cell phones. As expected, a flurry of headlines had already been pushed to our phones. The zombies have been completely eradicated, we've endured and triumphed. Cheers and sounds of people running in the hallways reached us, and I just collapsed onto the ground. This nightmare had finally ended. Another school year begins. Who would have thought that the last time I was at school I was a freshman in military training? And now, I've returned as a senior. I bumped into a few classmates, but they seemed to be whispering about me. I heard that Scarlett died of starvation. Somehow, the rumor that I didn't help her has spread, but now, I don't care what they think of me, nor do I care if they isolate me. After such a long time living through the apocalypse, my personality has completely transformed. Just then, someone tapped me on the shoulder, and a cheerful voice came from behind. Hello there. My comrade in adversity, we finally meet. This time, let's talk face to face all night long.